the Rams. Welcome to the Canada West Football Showcase from McMahon Stadium. I'm Andy Neal alongside Doug McLean. Week 7 of the Canada West football season kicking off today with the 8th-ranked Regina Rams taking on the Calgary Dinos. And the weather, how much of a factor could that play today, Doug?
I think it will be a factor today. Neither of these teams run the ball particularly well. You look at this kind of weather and you think run game, and yet neither of these teams do it very well. They're going to have to find a way here this afternoon. Snowing still a little bit right now, not overly windy, but it will be a factor this afternoon for sure.
Hardy Cup playoffs are fast approaching. Both these teams have things to play for today. Regina Rams with a win would clinch home field advantage in the Hardy Cup semifinal. Calgary got their first win last week at Alberta. They are in the playoff picture, but they are also going to need quite a bit of help if they are going to get into that Hardy Cup semifinal. Now, Regina's strength is on defense, and Anthony Bennett has been leading the way there. The Canada West leader with 6.5 sacks and an absolute wrecking ball on the Rams' defensive line.
Yeah, in the Week 2 win over Calgary, he was an absolute menace. Coming off a Week 1 performance with 3 sacks, and he was all over Spallettini and Sinanis. The run game for the Dinos just really shutting that down. Forced a fumble, recovered that fumble, and then what I loved about him here, just that great read on that swing pass, deflects it to himself, interception, returns it home to the house for 6, and then the beautiful somersault to finish it off. On a day like today where you're going to win in the trenches, Anthony Bennett is a guy you want on your side.
Didn't have a sack last week, but he'll be trying to get one today on Daniel Sinanis, the quarterback for the Calgary Dinos, who the Dinos hope is the next in a long line of strong quarterback play.
Yeah, Buckley, Sinagra, Joseph, it has been a great run of Calgary quarterbacks for the last 15 years. And Sinanis, what you like about him is his assertiveness in the pocket. He makes quick reads, quick decisions, gets the ball out of his hands. And what does that do? That helps protect a young offensive line, allows them to build some confidence. Get a good look. Golden Bears in that win. Great quick read here on that slant for the touchdown. You've got 2 games left. You got to feel pretty good about what you have right now in Sinanis, and certainly what you have going into the future with him at the helm.
First time they met, Regina won 32-24 at Mosaic Stadium in Regina. The Dinos will try to return the favor as they head out on the field for Week 7 clash here on the Canada West Football Showcase. And we are back at McMahon Stadium in Calgary, getting set for this Week 7 showdown between the Calgary Dinos and Regina Rams. And there's the weather forecast. Light snow. It's been going throughout the day, and cool temperatures around the freezing mark, and a little bit of wind also going from north to south across the the McMahon Stadium turf. And there's a look at our starting quarterbacks today. Noah Pelche, the freshman from Regina, 104 for 192 attempts this season, and completions for 1,241 yards, just over 1,000 yards for Daniel Sinanis. Here's the national anthem. Not a bad amount of people showing up here at McMahon Stadium, given the conditions for it today with the snow that has fallen. And here's a look at the Regina Rams. Mark McConkey, first year as the full-time head coach, had the interim tag taken off, and their schedule, they will wrap it up at home next week against the Manitoba Bisons. As mentioned before, a win today gives them home field in the Hardy Cup semifinal. Wayne Harris and the Calgary Dinos, their first win of the season, 24-11 at Alberta. They will finish the season at Saskatchewan. They are also hoping for some help today. They need to win out and have Manitoba lose their last 2 games. They're at Alberta today for them to get into the playoffs, and hope that Alberta also loses in their final game. So there's a lot of things to consider for the Calgary Dinos if they're going to get into the postseason, Doug. And who knows, but the first step is taking on Regina and trying to make amends for the loss in week 2.
Well, that's exactly the thing. And getting that win last week in Edmonton against the Golden Bears gave them a shot. And now they have to hope they can get into a tie position with the Golden Bears. They hold the tiebreak, and that will be what would get them into the playoffs.
And we are underway in Calgary. As the kickoff, it'll be Regina getting the football first, and over on the far sideline, the tackle is made as carrying it on the return for the Rams was Riley Boersma. And out comes the Rams offense. 65 points in their first 2 games of the season, but 70 in their 4 since that. So they have slowed down a little bit. Here's a look at the starting offense for the Rams. And Noah Pelche at quarterback, the freshman from Regina.
Well, and Olivier Savard, he gets the start at running back here today. 3rd-year player from Chicoutimi, Quebec. We talked about in the opening how important the run game is. They don't have Christian Contende. They don't have Kyle Borsa.
And it'll be a pitch on the first play, and taking it is Deshaun Mims, the wide receiver, and he comes to the near sideline, gets tripped out of bounds, but a good gain on first down for Deshaun Mims, and it's enough for a first.
Yeah, it's a good play. Get other players involved quickly, and that little fly sweep with Deshaun Mims, really quick player, quick receiver for this Rams team. If you can get the ball into your playmakers' hands in a game like this where the weather is unpredictable, that puts you in a much better spot.
Jordan Chisdale, the defensive player of the week, was there to force Mims out of bounds. So a 1st and 10 for the Regina Rams from the Calgary 45. 3 receivers to the left of the offensive line. The throw over to the far hash is caught, and it is a pickup of about 7.
And this Calgary defense, early in the year, we mentioned the fact this was a young offense, a slightly more veteran defense. You like players like Lucician at safety. They're without Daniel Flanagan, injured in week 3 and has not returned. He's a real anchor, but they've been able to have some really strong performances over the course of the last few weeks. It'll be key again today.
So 8 yards on the pitch and catch, and now on the run, and it's a first down for the Rams, and taking it is Savard. He gets the good gain, and so the Rams move into Dinos territory.
Yeah, Parker Hodel, Joel Braden off the right side of that offensive line open up a hole for Olivier Savard. You get a really good look at it here, and Savard just picks his way into second level against that Dinos defense. And a good early sign here for the Rams. Again, a team that doesn't run the ball particularly well. 5th in the conference, 102 yards per game. The only team that runs for fewer yards per game, the Calgary Dinos, who come into this one averaging just under 90 yards on the ground per game. But you can tell early on, as Boersma gets looked at here by the Rams staff, you can tell early on that the run game, they know, and Coach McConkey knows how important it's going to be for them here this afternoon.
Yeah, that's Riley Boersma that was on his knee, the 4th-year Ram from Cambridge, Ontario. And Mark McConkey went that whole 2021 season with the interim tag on as head coach, but now he is the man on the sidelines. And coming off the loss, they're 4-0 against the rest of the Canada West, but struggling with Saskatchewan, although the point differential in the 2 losses is just 4.
And they gave themselves a shot. Here's a touchdown drive late in the game. Beautiful pass to Boersma, and then Pelche scrambles in for the touchdown. Then the onside kick got it up high into that wind, came down. Rams got it, but then a poor throw here by Pelche, a little bit off his back foot. Picked off, and that ended it. So they gave themselves a shot against a good Huskies team. They know they can play with them. They just haven't gotten over the mountain quite yet.
So back to action here on the Regina Rams' first possession of the ball game, and taking the handoff is number 35, Marshall Erickson, and he was wrestled to the ground, a gain of a couple.
And Liam Reed, middle linebacker for the Dinos, wrestles the Rams running back to the ground. Limits that gain to about 3. And you're going to see a mix of running backs here for the Rams. Talking to Coach McConkey earlier in the week, he said it was going to be a combination of Savard, maybe Jace Easton and Marshall Erickson as well. So they're going to mix it up a little bit.
Now on second down, Deshaun Mims on another pitch. He goes to the other side of the field, and this time he gets wrapped up. A nice tackle made on the play, and that brings up a third down for Regina.
Yeah, that's great pursuit to the outside by the Calgary Dinos. Nate Beauchemin in on the tackle as Mims just could not get the edge. And that's a good job. Just wrap up good, smart, fundamental football there by Beauchemin to limit that gain as the Rams go to the opposite side of the field with that fly sweep to Deshaun Mims.
So that'll bring out Aldo Galvin, who is the punter and also handles the field goal duties for the Regina Rams from Mexico City.
It doesn't do this a whole lot in Mexico City, I'm pretty sure.
And his kick goes into the end zone. So the Regina Rams have opened the scoring here today in Calgary as they look to go to 5-2 and secure home field advantage. And we'll get our first look at the Calgary Dinos offense.
And we'll see how the Dinos come out. You got a good hint early about the Rams and what they know they need to do. They need to win on the ground here today. We'll see if the Dinos come out the same way as they take a look at their starting offense. And that offensive line starting to settle into things. Michael-Ange Desjardins had a huge week last week against the Golden Bears, over 100 yards receiving from that man, Daniel Sananis. But it is a young receiving group. When you lose the likes of the Philpotts, everything went through them last year, and they've had to really bring this receiving core together all at once, and with a young quarterback. Often not a recipe for success, but it's starting to come together now for Wayne Harris.
Sananis coming off a and he will hand it off on the first play from scrimmage for the Dinos, but they're stopped at the line of scrimmage.
And this Regina defense, and there's that man, Anthony Bennett, again. And it is a veteran group. Garth Knidig, Tanner Schmeckel, Anthony Bennett anchor that front. But what I love is their linebackers. Their linebackers are quick. They can cover sideline to sideline. They can get up and play the run. This front seven is a real challenge, and they love to blitz. They bring extra pressure, especially on second down. How does Sananis handle that here today if they end up in second and long like they are right now?
Loss of one on the first down play. Sananis will air it out to the far sideline, and it is caught. Job Dang, who is the leading receiver for the Calgary Dinos, just 4 receptions in the last 2 games, but he gets his hands on the ball for the first time today.
And maybe one of the adjustments we'll see, as I mentioned, the Rams love to blitz on second down. That time, though, Calgary goes max protection to give Sananis a little bit more time, and it allows him to get this throw out to the sidelines, leads his receiver, and connects for a first down yardage.
That's the 28th catch of the season for Dang from Vancouver. He's a first-year player. All the top receivers for the Dinos this season are freshmen, and now on the run, a good gain on first down as the carry for the Dinos from Matthew Clark.
Matthew Clark, third in Canada West right now in rushing, 327 yards, a 6.4-yard average. Again, not a team that runs the ball collectively overly well, but he has been the one bright spot. Wayne Harris, in conversation with him, said, look, he's playing a little bit, Clark is playing a little bit earlier than we thought he might, but he's starting to show what we knew he could bring at this level.
So 2nd and 2 for the Dinos. Clark again, and this time he's wrapped up behind the line of scrimmage as a bunch of white jerseys were there, led by the linebacker Ryder Varga, Josh White as well.
They go 2 tight ends again, do the Dinos, but that time good push by that Regina front 7. And just a good job there. Varga, one of the players in, filling that gap, and Clark just unable to get upfield to give themselves a shot. Actually lost a yard on that play, forcing a punt.
So both teams on their first possessions having to punt. Regina got a point on theirs to win into the end zone, and here's Chris McLean booting one to the Regina Rams, and this will be a no yards penalty on the Dinos as Ben Abrook was there. And let's go downstairs and join Heather Morrison. Heather.
Well, it's a winter wonderland here today at McMahon Stadium, and we know that playing in temperatures like this not only increases risk of energy, it also increases a risk of injury. It also requires a lot of energy in order to keep the bodies warm. So we might see the players fatigue a little bit earlier. That's could have an effect on the fourth quarter. So it's going to be really important to get a lead early for the teams. Players told me that they keep warm by huddling up on the sidelines and also putting Vaseline on their exposed skin. The coach Mark McConkey from the Rams, well, he says, he thinks it's going to be a bit more of a ground and pound type game. But the nice thing about weather is that both teams have to deal with it. And Coach Wayne Harris agrees, saying, hey, this is football on the prairies. This isn't anything we haven't seen before. Thanks, guys.
And hopefully you're staying warm too, Heather. There's getting hot is Wayne Harris.
Yeah, I think he might be thinking that his kicker got contacted, but it was actually his own player that did that.
And so on the first down handoff, Olivier Savard with the carry, and he picks up about 3 on that. Let's get a look at Noah Pelche, the first-year quarterback for the Regina Rams. He was a graduate of Balfour Collegiate, and here is the kick. There's McLean.
Yeah, and it's Josh White who gets right up the middle and drives his blocker right into McLean. So I'm assuming that's what Harris was a little frustrated about.
2nd and 6 for Regina. The pass, though, in behind the intended target, Deshaun Mims, who's been targeted a few times. A couple of pitches on the first drive for the Rams, and this one on throw, but it's incomplete, and it's a 2-and-out for the Rams on their second possession.
And that's 2021 Canada West All-Star Jacob Biggs, who steps in, comes in, and you could feel that Mims knew he was coming, and that ball was low, could not get his hands to it, and Biggs made sure that he separated a ball from player and forces another Rams punt.
Yeah, Biggs led the Dinos last year with 9 pass breakups. And so Galvin back on for the punt for Regina. Matt Sibley is back receiving for Calgary, and a good kick from Galvin. It goes all the way inside the 5 to the Calgary goal line, and Sibley doesn't have much room to work with and is tackled at the 5. A big kick from the Regina punter.
Aldo Galvin has had a fantastic year for the Regina Rams. That's an excellent kick, averaging 46 yards a punt, and he just skied that one past Matt Sibley. Sibley collected it at the 1-yard line. There you see Galvin, the kinesiology and health studies student mentioned earlier from Mexico City, but he's clearly adapted pretty well. He's no layers on him, just whatever.
Right.
Bare arms, forget it. We're going full Canadian here today.
Well, that'll up that 46-yard average for sure. And so now Daniel Sinanis and the Calgary Dinos in the shadows of their goalpost from the 5. And it's a handoff. Not much doing is wrapped up. And let's go back down to Heather.
Well, we're talking about Aldo Galvin there. Well, he's been on the team for a few years now, but, he had a tough time during COVID. He had to spend it at home in Mexico away from his teammates. Well, this year, he's back, and some advice that Coach Mark McConkey gave him said, hey, you know what? It's okay to miss a field goal every now and once in them, but the team's going to have your back if they see you putting in the work. You got to be at every practice. You got to be at every workout, and you got to be working your hardest. And he said that Galvin had the best offseason that he's had, and then here you got today. He's got a team that's got his back, and he's also making some great punts. Thanks, guys.
And to Heather's point, the leg has never been the question with Galvin.
Throw to the sideline, nearly broken on by the Regina defender in the area, which is Garshan Ervinthan.
Ervinthan had a pick last week against the Huskies, and he almost had a pick, and that would have been a pick 6 had he been able to get his hands on that one as Sinanis. Again, that assertiveness that we talk about in the opening, but it almost bit him there as Ervinthan undercut it, but could not get his hands on it.
Yeah, Zach
Great
Smith.
Concentration by Smith.
Nearly made a tremendous catch, and Smith has been coming on at receiver for Calgary, but like Regina, unable to do anything with this possession, and they'll be punting as well. So the punters busy early in this Week 7 showdown, and taking a knee is Chris McLean. Some more points added to Regina. A low-scoring game as we expected, and so far it's through the special teams.
Yeah, and I think in that situation, if you're Calgary, you have to give up 2. You got to reestablish field position here a little bit, and the leg of Galvin plays a big factor. But reestablish field position. Your defense has been solid here early if you're the Dinos, so no risk. Don't take the risk, I should say, in punting the ball away. And there you take a look at Noah Pelche. Pelche, first-year player, and we'll take a look at his work last week against the Saskatchewan Huskies. And hey, when you're playing the Huskies, you're always going to be dealing with a really tough front 7. The thing with Pelche since that really outstanding opening game he had this season, he's throwing a lot off his back foot. You just don't see him stepping into the throws to the same degree. So just some mechanics challenges I think he's had that has maybe resulted in some of the difficult play that he's had to work himself through. But we'll see again, on a day like today, tougher throwing the football. What can Pelche bring after that tough week last week?
And he's had to step in as the starting quarterback as they had Josh Donnelly out with the concussion, which he suffered again after the season last year, so he's been out indefinitely. And so the Regina Rams will get the football again as on the punt return they get over the 30-yard line. And that's where Pelche and company will start. That was Deshaun Mims on the return for Regina. They will have possession at the 32.
And just to add on that, I mean, I say it's been a bit of a struggle at times for Pelche. Hey, he's a first-year quarterback coming in, and yet his numbers, you take a look there at sacks against, they have protected him very well, just giving up 2 sacks all season long. But he's still sitting 4th in Canada West, over 1,200 yards passing. This is a first-year guy, so I think we have to make sure that we keep in perspective where he's at.
And a first down, fakes the handoff, rolling to his right, will sling it to the near side, and the catch is made. On the receiving end is Ethan Marshall, slot back for Regina.
Credit to Deacon Taylor Young, the Calgary halfback. He took that play away. Pelche wanted to go to Mims on the corner route about 25 yards upfield, but he comes back underneath, instead finding number 82 Ethan Marshall. But a good job there by Taylor Young in coverage to take Mims, the quick Deshaun Mims, away from Pelche.
That was the second catch of the season for Ethan Marshall, so it's 2nd down and 4 for Regina. And on the handoff, moving up for the Rams is Marshall Erickson, and he has enough for a first down. It is applied, but the catch was made. And that was for the Rams. Nice grab by Ethan Kiefer, as he took a big hit but held on.
Yeah, and an example there for Pelche, maybe getting the ball out of your hands a little bit sooner. Kiefer was open earlier on, but this time here you get the ball a little bit later to him, and that results in that big hit coming right through. I think that was Matthew Lasician. You take a look at him right there, the veteran 5th-year safety from Calgary.
That was a pickup of 6 on the throw, so it's 2nd down. And that's a handoff. It's Erickson again, and he's got enough for another first down as he crosses midfield at the Calgary 52.
Oftentimes it's run to set up the pass. Right now for the Rams, it's the opposite. A couple short passes that have set up the run on 2nd down, and they're starting to get some momentum on that run game. You talked to offensive linemen. They love the running game. They love to be able to get off and blast off that line. And right now, this veteran group, 4th-year player in Hadjewich, 3rd-year player in Iron, McGuire Abel, the center, 4th-year player, Parker Hodel, 3rd-year player, Joel Braden, a 5th year. They've got some veterans up there.
So Pelche and the Rams, a bit of a rhythm here in their 3rd possession of the game, and it's Erickson again. And he's got 11 for another Regina first down as the Rams are making their way down the field.
First carries of the season for Marshall Erickson, we should note as well. 2nd-year player from Regina, played at Miller Comprehensive, and bit of a hybrid back. You think about the players they've got. Borsa really quick and speedy. You've got Ketendi, the big power back. Savard, another quick, speedy back. Erickson may be a combination of a few of them. So nice mix for McConkey and the Rams.
Ball of the Calgary 41. Here goes Erickson again. He's able to shake off one tackle, then finally gets wrapped up, but he's able to get some yards that maybe he wouldn't have had that tackle been made, but he is able to get an extra 2. Regina keeps moving forward.
I think it was Franklin Abello who had the initial grab of Erickson, and Erickson did a good job to shed that tackle, pick up another couple yards, and you put yourself again in 2nd and manageable. And there you do see, sorry, my mistake was 96. That's Josh Heyer, not 95 Abello. But a good job by Erickson to shed that, pick up 3 yards, and give yourself 2nd and, as I said, 2nd and manageable.
Rams trying to add to a 3-0 lead. It is 2nd and 6 from the Calgary 38. Another handoff. And again, Erickson spins away from the first tackle, but then gets buried as he tried to move forward. As on the stop for the Dinos was Liam Reed. And so that will bring out the field goal unit for Regina. But a lot of running. Erickson moving it down the field well for the Rams and putting themselves in field goal position.
Yeah, you just saw there number 4, Sabomi Oyasoro, middle linebacker for the Dinos, did a good job just slowing up Erickson because they had that drawn up very, very well. But Erickson just slowed up a little bit, could then not explode through second level.
So Aldo Galvin is 44-yard long, came last week against the Saskatchewan Huskies. He'll be trying from the Calgary 43-yard line. He has the distance, and it is through. And so Aldo Galvin has doubled the Regina lead over the Calgary Dinos to 6-0 as he puts it through the uprights. And so Galvin has contributed 4 of the 6 on the board today.
Yeah, no mistake about that one. He definitely, again, had the leg.
That was near the season long that he had last week against the Huskies, and he knew it right away.
And the celebrations keep coming.
The personality is so great with him.
Absolutely.
So the Dinos will start from their own 35. They've only been able to, or haven't been able to get much going on offense, forced to punt each time. So Daniel Sananis and the Dinos looking to respond, trailing by 6. And Sananis on the fake handoff over the middle, and the catch is made. And it's Dang again into Regina territory. And he finally gets held up, but gets as far as the Regina 53.
7 on the line for the Dinos. They go play action, as you said, Andy, and then finds an open receiver and Dang over the middle. So Calgary now certainly confident and content to throw the football, and that max protection trying to limit the pressure from the Regina front 7, and so far buying some time for Sananis.
So Calgary on the Regina side of center. Sananis forced out to his right, trying to direct traffic with the throw, but it's incomplete as he was trying to hook up with Michael-Ange Desjardins.
Calgary that time goes 5 on the O-line. Rams send 4, and it's Anthony Bennett. You'll see him coming out of the bottom of your screen right there, chasing after Sananis, who gets the ball off just in time.
You know, you're talking about his assertiveness. I mean, directing the traffic. At first-year quarterback, getting out of the pocket. We were talking with officials earlier today about just making a decision, not just deciding what decision to make, but just to make a decision.
That's right, yeah.
And it looked like it there, although incomplete on that pass, now over the middle, but nobody home for the Calgary Dinos, incomplete, and so they are stopped at the 52. So
yes,
third down, and the punt team comes on.
Sananis there, not sure who he was going to. He had 3 receivers kind of in the vicinity. We'll get a look at it here. And I didn't catch the number of the receiver, who looked like he settled down in that zone and then kind of left the zone. I think Sananis expected him to plant and stay. And meanwhile, he slid over a little bit further, and that ball sailed errantly to the ground. So a bit of miscommunication there between quarterback and receiver.
Chris McLean back out to punt. He's standing at his own 43-yard line. High snap. He had to go up and get it and get rid of it in a hurry. Ball bouncing. Emmett Stedman is taking it for Regina, but again, another flag for no yards against the Dinos, and so the Rams will be aided by that as Stedman hangs onto the football.
Yeah, and a high snap, and you got to think too, because you and I were both commenting before the broadcast, it's wet. I mean, this is heavy, wet snow that's falling, and high snap for a kicker, that might be a little bit tougher to corral, but he did a really good job to get the kick off.
For the Rams is Ethan Marshall with his second catch today.
Ethan Marshall came into this game just 1 reception for 14 yards, already 2 catches here today, and does a good job. Shed a couple Dino tacklers and pick up first down yards. That's another thing in a game like this today. You're going to ask a lot of your receivers to try to slip tackles, gain yards after catch. I think become even more important in a weather game like this here today.
Ball at the Regina 41. It's a first down. They're leading 6-0 as we're into the final minute of this opening quarter. And it's a pitch to Mims. Backtracking goes. The Calgary defense forces him further behind the line of scrimmage, and he's taken down. And they'll spot the ball around the 35-yard line. In fact, even a yard further back at the 34, so a big loss and a big play from the Dinos defense.
This is an outstanding job by Liam Reed to sniff this out and get upfield. He forced Mims back inside. I'm not sure we'll see it just in a set. There you see Reed, 52, just does a beautiful job on Savard. Gets upfield, forces Mims back inside. Mims never able to get leverage to the outside.
So a second and long for Regina and Noah Pelche. Four receivers to the left. The catch is made. Now the ball comes out and it's picked up by Diggs for the Dinos. And it is Calgary ball. There is a flag on the far side of the field as the catch was made by the Regina receiver Bennett Stuzik, but then popped out on the attempted tackle, and there's a man who was able to scoop it up, Jacob Biggs.
I think this is going to be procedure Regina. I think it was the right tackle, Joel Braden, who might have moved a little bit early. We'll see if that is the call. Oh, I'm wrong. They're going to go offside Dinos. And if with flags at both ends, it's likely somebody lined up offside. Huge break for the Regina Rams. Don't have the audio.
Don't have the audio, yeah.
But nonetheless, big break for Regina as Stuzik, who was going nowhere anyway, fumbled that ball. Here we get a look at it. Peltius with a quick look out. I'm sorry, that's not Stuzik. Or no, it is Stuzik, my mistake. Bennett Stuzik just loses the handle. Would have been Calgary football, but instead it's 2nd and 9 now for Regina.
Nate Boschman was there on the tackle to force the fumble. If my lip reading was right, I thought I saw 94, which would be Chimsy Tassie for the Dinos. It's a big break for the Rams to get the ball again, and a big play again from Diggs, reaching out with a hand in coverage on Deshaun Mims to force the breakup on the pass at the end of the first quarter.
He has been glued to Deshaun Mims so far in this ball game. Biggs right on his hip, steps in front of that pass from Pelche, who maybe wanted that ball a little bit more to the sideline to allow Mims to go and get it. But a good read by Biggs, gets in front of it, deflects it.
Well, we're through a quarter here in Calgary. The Regina Rams with a 6-0 lead over the Dinos on the Canada West Football Showcase.
Let's get started.
Your Canada West Defensive Player of the Week is Jordan Chisda. The Calgary Dinos defensive back factored hugely into his team's victory over the Alberta Golden Bears this weekend. Chisda posted 2 interceptions, changing the tides at critical junctures. He chased this one down, showing off his speed before running it back for a touchdown in the second quarter. The 33-yard interception and score gave the Dinos a much-needed lead they were able to maintain to beat Alberta on the road.
Well, the Regina Rams lead the Dinos 6-0 at McMahon Stadium. And if you wanted to use one word to describe the Regina Rams today, it's not cold. It's hungry. They want that playoff at Mosaic Stadium, and they want it to happen today. Coach McConkey said he made that very clear to his players that they wanted to lock that down in the stadium right now today. They know they got a couple shots at it, but it's today that it's going to happen. And he says that hunger that the team has, it's not coming from him. It's coming from leaders on the team like linebacker Josh Heyer, who says he's so frustrated. They think they could be at the top spot in Canada West right now. They've only lost to the Huskies by a combined total of 4 points. That's it. They want to meet them in the Hardy Cup, and that starts today when they guarantee that spot at Mosaic Stadium with a win if they can bring it out on this cold field. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks kindly, Heather. And last time the Rams had a winning record was 2016. They went 6-2, but lost in the semifinal that year to the UBC Thunderbirds. They were the top seed in the Canada West that season. There was some thought that there might be a changing of the guard, but the Calgary Dinos would end up winning the Hardy Cup as they did so often during that run that they had. But the Rams trying to change that, and have a home playoff date for the first time in 6 years, as Aldo Galvin on the first play of the second quarter punts it off, and on the return for the Dinos is Matt Sibley, and he gets spun to the ground, and that's where the Dinos will take shape at just past the 30-yard line.
Looking at some of the numbers from the opening quarter, 6 first downs for the Rams. I mean, that's a positive thing, I think, in terms of some offensive production. And a lot of they've worked the ball well on the ground. Time of possession, 10 minutes, 10 seconds, another positive sign for the Rams. So some little things, I think, offensively, and a real focus on that run game, I think, is the one story you take out of the opening 15 minutes of play.
And all the penalties against Calgary, 3, and 2 of those were for no yards penalties on the punts. So Calgary on 1st and 10 from their own 31-yard line. And it is a handoff and coming to the near side of the field is Matthew Clark, and he's able to get a few.
Matthew Clark, his 5th carry of the game. Daniel Sananas, 2 of 5 for 34 yards in the opening quarter of play. And as you saw on that graphic, just 2 first downs for the Dinos so far. So again, against this really strong Regina defense and the weather conditions, it's a big push for this young offense. Good test for them.
So a 2nd down and 6. Throw over the middle, and it's caught. A nice connection made. On the receiving end is Matson Tulloch, who makes the catch, but he's down on the field after taking a bit of an awkward hit the way he landed. So we'll see what happened to him, but he's in some discomfort on the field just beyond the 45-yard line in Calgary territory.
Yeah, he took a really good shot to his shoulder. Yeah, it gets kind of, and then he gets sort of bent around a little bit. And it's a combination of chopper, hippie.
My apologies, that's Ben Britton, not Matson Tulloch, who's on the play for Calgary and is still on the field, being attended to by the training staff.
Jackson Sombach, number 24, the other player in on that hit.
Britton had a good week last week, 3 catches for 62 yards against Alberta, so some big plays made, so this is tough. I mentioned before, we talked about this young receiving core, young offense for the Calgary Dinos that Wayne Simmons is working with. He understands the patience and the growing pains that comes with it. Their 5 leading receivers coming into today, all freshman receivers, and a second-year quarterback who's in his first year as a starter.
Well, if you look, here's one statistic that you might consider in terms of where they're at. Matson Tulloch was their leading receiver coming into the season in terms of returning players. 3 catches for 48 yards last year. Again, it just shows how much space that Philpott's, understandably, I mean, they're both outstanding players, first-round picks in the CFL, and you can see Britton getting carried off the field. Yeah.
Couldn't put any weight on his left foot.
And there you see the hit from Sombach. I thought it might have been the shoulder there, but it's maybe getting twisted up a little bit right there. And that's number 29 for the Rams. That's Zach Moore, halfback for Regina.
So Ben Britton in some real discovery. They're getting him to one of the bench areas on the Calgary sideline as the player resumes, and a nice run for Clark, and he's able to get about 5 on the carry, so that'll bring up a second and manageable for the Dinos here as they get to midfield. Yeah,
and a good push-up field again by this Dinos O-line. Clark's not getting contacted until he's 3-4 yards down the field. That's a good sign, too, for the Dinos in terms of that run offense. And it is a pretty young offensive line when you look at Carson, Pashula, Zeman, Boss, and Townsend. Boss and Townsend, the 3rd and 4th year guys, the rest of them 1st and 2nd year players.
So 2nd down and 5. Sananas' throw and a nice breakup. As stepping up was Donovan Small to make the play and knock it away from the intended receiver, and that'll do it for the Calgary drive at their own 50.
Donovan Small, a native of Pickering, Ontario, played with the Okanagan Sun. Good read there, steps in and knocks that one down, and Sananas a little slower getting that ball to the sideline as Clark was retreating to the sideline, couldn't stop to work his way back to the football, which might have helped his quarterback out there, but forced now another punt.
Small, a big factor in the Regina defensive back. He's coming in today leading defensively with 1 interception and 3 breakups. You can add now a 4th to that. And on the punt, nearly blocked as McLean was able to get it away. It will roll out of bounds and it will be spotted at the Regina 21. But again, a close call as McLean was able to get the foot on the ball and not have anybody put their hand on.
Yeah, something special teams coordinator for the Dinos, Nathan Muller's going to have to look at, because it's not just one white jersey that's in on McLean. It's 2, 3, 4 players at times here right now. And it's just a bit of a jailbreak. But McLean does a good job to get the ball off, as you mentioned, Andy, and at least pin the Rams back somewhat.
Starting at their 21, and the handoff is to Savard, who goes to the right side of the line and is able to carry close to the 25. They'll give him about 3 yards for Olivier Savard.
Blitz there by the Dinos. And Savard goes off his right guard, Parker Hodel, able to pick up a few precious yards.
Savard only had 3 rush attempts the first time these two teams met in week 2. He's in the Regina backfield now as they go for a 2nd and 7. Pelche airs it out to the near sideline. Bit of a waddler in there once again. He's had his name called quite a bit. Is Jacob Biggs once more breaking up the pass and causing a 3rd down.
That time it's Biggs on Emmett Stedman, and again, he was glued to Mims. He's now glued to Stedman, and Biggs has just had an outstanding first half here. No chance for Stedman to get any separation whatsoever. Turns his head to the ball, deflects it, and Aldo Galvin now will try to flip the field a little bit for the Rams.
Wayne Harris said last week in the win over Alberta that they were able to get some 2 and outs and get off the field quickly, and they're doing that here again today. Although trailing 6-0, the defense has played well, hoping the offense can do something. And on the punt return, Isaac Athens gets to the 51. And let's take a look at that win over the Alberta Golden Bears for the Calgary Dinos, a 24-11 decision. Dinos were not used to them starting 0-5, but they were able to get into the win column. A nice touchdown catch here from Zach Smith.
Yeah, and then in the face of Jonathan Erickson, and this pass by Erickson, just a floater to the wide side of the field. This game played at Commonwealth Stadium in Edmonton as opposed to Footfield, but Chisda read that well, and that was late after the Bears had tied it at 10. Chisda with that heading into halftime with the lead, and then Mikhail Ange Desjardins over 100 yards receiving, including that touchdown. And so a big win for the Dinos, keeping their playoff hopes alive.
8 catches for Desjardins in that win over Alberta. And now on the far side is Zach Smith. He's able to run for a 1st down after the catch and takes it to the Regina 45.
Zach Smith, first-year player from Vernon, 12 catches coming into this game. A couple here again. Picks up 1st down yardage for Calgary as they start to move into Regina territory.
Dinos with some personnel changes on a new set of downs as they have it at the Regina 46. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Sananis will throw to his left. Dang is there. Rams defenders are saying it was out of bounds, and it is called incomplete. So Dang unable to keep his foot inbounds to make that catch.
Ball seemed to float a little bit out of the hands of Sananis as Dang broke to the sideline. Get a look at it here. Just hangs up a little bit in the air, and Dang, that left foot was there, but lifted it up as soon right when he caught the football, and good call by the officials.
After a bit of a conference, waving it off.
It's pretty close. I mean, his foot just comes up as he secures the ball, and then that right foot steps on the white stripe.
So it's 2nd and 10 Dinos. Sananis will come to the near side of the field, but it's off the mark. The intended target was Matt Sibley. And Sananis, who was dumped in the backfield, he's slow to get up to his feet after taking a bit of a hit and is favoring his left hand or his shoulder.
And
that was right arm is going.
And it is going to be a rough play against the. And it would have been another Calgary punt But instead, yeah, that's, I mean, if you're Josh White, I mean, that's just, yeah, I know he puts his hands in the air, but you know you can't touch the quarterbacks that far or that long after he's thrown the football, whether you hammer him or just push him. That not a smart decision by a veteran player in Josh White.
Sananas, quick throw, but there's Ryder Varga able to get his fingers on the pass and break it up and cause the incompletion. Sananas got off the turf. Looked like it was his left arm that he was favoring. Then he went to his right, but tried right away with the pass, but Varga able to get in the way.
Yeah, Ryder Varga, maybe the anchor of this linebacking core, just gets a little finger on that one as Dang stepped in on that quick look from Sananas. And when you look at Braden Wagg and Chopper Hippie and Ryder Varga and Josh White, these are four really quick. And speaking of quick and leaving a little early, Dang is literally 20 yards downfield and the ball has not been snapped.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's in most rule books that's offside, and maybe there's.
So let's get away. He gets the head start.
He gets a huge head start. And
even the Ram defender was trying to throw a flag.
I think the corner was wondering what's going on here. The ball hasn't even moved and you're already running by me.
So Dang is at a couple of catches, was hoping for another one behind the defense, but gets flagged. So it is 2nd and 15 for Calgary. Trying to get on the board for the first time today. Sananas will run and will get to the 26-yard line. They blew it down before he got inside the 25, but he's able to get something out of it.
Sananas does a really good job here. Just keeps his feet moving. Wants to go downfield. It's not there. He keeps his feet moving, steps up into the pocket, and then that clock in his head goes off. Get a look at it here. Steps back. Pressure comes from Varga. Keeps his feet moving, heading up.
Punting duties. 1 for 2 last week at Alberta, but misses on his first try here.
Yeah, it looked like he got under that one a little bit. As we look at the flags, not a whole lot of wind whipping around here. The flags on the goalposts are pretty much. Yeah, a little bit of breeze picking them up every now and again, but McLean seemed to get under that one somewhat, and Calgary just cannot get on the board. But a good positive drive for them to get into Regina territory. Now they got to build on it.
So Noah Pelche back on the field for the Regina Rams, trying to add to a 6-point lead. A little handoff on the first play to Erickson, and Erickson had a big first quarter for the Rams. Gets another nice gain on first down. 32 yards in the first quarter, and his first carry is worth about 6.
And Erickson, an upright runner. Reminds me maybe a little bit of Riker Frank of the Saskatchewan Huskies. Bit of a taller back. Erickson listed at 6 feet 180.
Got the ball to the Regina 26. 3 receivers to the right of the Regina offensive line. On 2nd and 4. Pelche's pass is caught, and it's Deshaun Mims, and it looks like he has enough for the first down, and they will move the chains on a Regina first.
Good read by Pelche. Sees that delay blitz coming from the Dinos. Gets the ball.
Pelche, his 5th completion of the game. And on first down, it's a handoff. And to the 38-yard line is Erickson again.
Run that counter play to the left side with Erickson, who seems to be the feature back. And Coach McConkey did mention that earlier in the week that we would probably see a fair amount of Erickson. Of course, with Borsa and Contendia, there you take a look at Mark McConkey.
Erickson averaging 5 yards a carry, 8 carries for 40 yards. 2nd and 8, Regina. And the pass to the near side, off the turf, and it's incomplete. Diggs was on in the coverage again on Deshaun Mims. Those two have been in a battle throughout this first half, and again, it goes to the Calgary defender.
Yeah, they really have, and maybe a bit of a breakdown for the Rams. 2 receivers right side by side with Marshall and Mims. And Pelche sometimes when you throw those ones out there and you see a DB break on the ball like Biggs has been doing all game long, you tend to throw it down, keep it low, and hope your receiver can go down and get it, but that Mims unable to come up with it for Regina.
Ethan Marshall was the other Regina receiver in the area. Aldo Galvin, this time into the wind in the second quarter, but a nice kick as he belts it inside the Calgary 30. And coming back the other way is Matt Sibley. He takes it to the Calgary 42-yard line, and a flag is down on the turf. Let's go downstairs to Heather Morrison.
All right, guys, I got a bit of an injury update here on Ben Britton, who took that big hit earlier in the quarter. Now, he told one of the Dinos staff members, it felt like I broke my leg, but being assessed on the table, I don't think it's a break, but it's too hard to tell right now. He's in a lot of pain. He can't put a lot of weight on it, and so they're going to reassess him at halftime. Basically, the story right now is that his return is questionable, but he certainly is a young man in a lot of pain. Thanks, guys.
Tough break for Ben Britton, who, as you said, Andy, has had a good season so far for the Calgary Dinos, and just one of those situations where you kind of have a few players coming at you, get twisted the wrong way, and we hope it's nothing serious, obviously, but sounds like his return may be a little doubtful.
Yeah, a roughing the kicker penalty against Calgary, so that's moved the ball to their 15-yard line where they will start this drive, and it begins with a handoff, and not much doing as Clark takes it to the 19.
One interesting thing statistically, you look at this Regina defense, they are the number one rush defense in Canada, only giving up 72 yards a game, which is an incredible number. Yeah. But on the flip side, they are dead last in the country in pass defense, giving up 317 yards a game. So a bit of that yin and yang for this Rams defensive group.
Now Sananis on the throw, but it's out of the reach of Michael-Ange Desjardins, so that'll bring up a third down. What a difference it has been from this year to last for the Regina rush defense, 73.3, 149.5 last year per game, so they've made a big strides in the rush defense.
Really incredible when you basically cut it in half. It's just it's a real flip, but again, that front seven is so good, and they stuff gaps so well that they're a really difficult group to run against.
So Chris McLean is back for the punt for Calgary, and he'll be kicking to the Rams' Emmett Stedman, who you see there standing at the Regina 50-yard line. Coming up to the final 5 minutes of the first half, a 6-0 Regina lead. It's been all kickers so far in the scoring. And Stedman takes it to the Calgary 50. A return of about 5 yards, and so Regina will start this next drive on the Calgary side of the center line.
That's a knuckleball by Chris McLean, comes firing at Stedman. It does a nice job to corral it. Those are ones that you can see kind of take the last minute turn and bounce off your hands or off your face mask, and get a really good look at it here from our crew as he zones in on that one and hauls it in.
Well, these conditions can't be fun for the kickers either.
No.
McLean coming into today averaging over 47 yards per kick. And the pass from Pelche is incomplete, as he was trying to find a man downfield, but it'll be 2nd and 10 Regina.
The one thing for Pelche, and I mentioned it a little bit earlier, at times you see him just not step through throws. In that case, they're almost, again, throwing off that back foot, and the balls are coming up a little bit short. He had a couple open receivers, but just unable right now to step through those throws and get enough gas on them to get them where he wants to.
2nd and 10 Regina from the Calgary 50. Pelche and a Rams receiver went down on the far side. And a flag is also thrown in the Calgary secondary.
Very late, I might add, that flag as Mims went down and no Dino player near him. But from where that flag is thrown, that's often going to be defensive pass interference.
Mims with a smile on his face as he came back to the Regina huddle. See what the call is. It is a pass interference against the Dinos.
Yeah, or it might be illegal contact as Mims Might have been bumped a little bit earlier. We'll see if that's the call as opposed to, well, they're going to rule it pass interference against Calgary.
And that's Nate Beauchamp.
Mims, the second receiver from the top of your screen, just gets held up at the 45-yard line and loses his footing, and that's going to be enough to warrant the call.
So Nate Beauchamp takes the flag for Calgary, and so it's a new set of downs for Regina. They will set up from the Calgary 40-yard line on the far hash. And Pelche down the field, and he has a man. It's Riley Boersma. He makes the catch to the Calgary 15 before he's finally brought down. And the Rams with the big play. It's Ethan Marshall who makes the catch.
Play action, some misdirection here from the Regina Rams. We've got receivers going to the right side of the field, and then you can see 82. Ethan Marshall coming underneath, and he is left wide open. And Peltier, who used his eyes well, looked to the right first and came back to Marshall. And the Rams inside the red zone.
At the Calgary 16. Pelche on the fake handoff. Trying to find some open space, but he gets tackled. And that is Beauchamp who made the play for the Dinos. That'll bring up a second down for the Rams, trying to add to their 6-point lead late in the half.
And here's an example of the young quarterback learning. So Peltier rolls out, play action. Either there he's got to go. You can see the space. He's either got to make a decision to run upfield, or you got to get the ball out earlier. He had Mims out in the flat open. Instead, he hesitates on the throw, therefore hesitating on the run. The last game that I called here at McMahon Stadium was the game where Nico DeFonte hit the miracle 59-yarder.
Yes.
That, to me, I still can't believe. We could not believe that he was coming on to kick the field goal, and then he hit it. But in talking to Wayne Harris early in the week, he knows where he's at with this team. He knows he's got a good, young, talented group, but you could just tell in his voice, like he's patient. He knows that this is going to take a bit of time, but he recognizes that they're on the right path to where they want to get back to, even if it's a little bit bumpier this year than they might have liked. But he's confident and feels pretty good about where they're going in this young group that's growing together.
So with 2:50 left in the half, Regina 2nd and 8. Looking for a score, but the pass is incomplete as it was intended for Ethan Marshall, but broken up, and the Dinos are forcing Regina's field goal team back on the field.
Vincent Saintis in on their right corner, in on the coverage there. Able to, a really good job by this Calgary secondary here against a talented group of Regina receivers. They've done an excellent job taking away some of those looks that Peltier might want. And Aldo Galvan, 1 for 1 on the afternoon from 43 yards. This one a little bit shorter, coming in at 21.
At 43, just one off his season high. And this attempt is through, so the Regina lead is now 9-0 over the Calgary Dinos. Galvin is 2 for 2 on the game. And so now the Dinos with a late first half possession coming up, see if they can build some momentum as they head towards the dressing room. Their last drive, they were able to move the ball, couldn't get the field goal, or earlier drive in the second quarter, they were able to move into Regina territory and looking for more of the same and with some points.
Yeah, I think you got to feel pretty good if you're Calgary right now. I mean, you're starting to get a little bit of momentum offensively. You allowed the Rams in that last possession into the red zone, but you hold them to a field goal, so you're keeping the game in check. You're keeping the game in reach right now, and I think that's a really good sign for a Calgary Dinos team that's trying to keep their playoff hopes alive.
Daniel Sinanis throwing to his right, and there's Dang with the catch, trying to fight his way for more yards, and he was able to pick up an extra one for a pickup of 4. That's to the Calgary 39.
Pretty sure tackle there from Aravinton, who steps up from his left corner spot. Able to get a hand on Dang and not let him go, which in these cold temperatures, that's another thing. Tackling can be a lot more difficult just in terms of your grip and how you're able to hold on to players, but Aravinton does a nice job there, the third-year player from Campbell Collegiate in Regina.
2nd down and 6 for the Dinos. Rush coming as Varga got through the offensive line but missed. Sinanis now trying to run for the first down, and he will get there. Out of bounds he goes, avoids the rush from the linebacker Varga. And he points the first down for the Dinos as they near midfield.
Yeah, Sananis again, good, quick decision, recognizes where that pressure comes from, Varga up the middle, and then he sees the hole open up. And a good judge to keep bouncing to the outside, picking up extra yards, and ultimately the first down. And as you said, Andy, with lots of time left here in this first half, a chance for the Dinos to get some points on the board.
Sananis came into this game the second leading rusher for the Dinos at just under 100 yards. That'll take him over 100 on that carry alone. So fresh set of downs for the Dinos as they try to work their way to Rams territory, but a quick tackle in the backfield as the Rams were all over that play as Matthew Clark had nowhere to go. And the big tackle made from Tanner Schmeckel.
Yeah, and you get a really good sense here of that front seven and that delay draw, and just absolutely blown up there by nose tackle Tanner Schmeckel.
Garth Knittig is also there for the Rams, so they had a convoy going to the Calgary backfield and they got home.
And talking to Mark McConkey, he likes the 3-4 because it three down linemen, it gives them some flexibility in terms of how they cover, in terms of the blitz packages they can bring in, and you get a good sense there with that front three what they can do.
So a 2nd and 18. The throw is incomplete as on the receiving end was Desjardins, but off his fingertips. And in the coverage for Regina was Ethan Mather. So another punt situation for the Dinos, trailing by 9 and plenty of time on the clock for Regina to add to this lead.
Looked like they're Desjardins coming back to the football, and Sananis threw it a little bit behind him. He was open. Lots of space. We're going to look at it here from the end zone, and Sananis, certainly a catchable ball for Desjardins, even if it was a little bit in behind. And those are ones on tough weather days where you need your receivers to come up with that catch.
Chris McLean. Good running kick as he backs Stedman back to the 25-yard line. Got away from the initial rush and is able to take it close to the 35. And so the Regina Rams leading by 9 with 93 seconds to go in the half. Try to make some hay here as they are looking to lock up home field advantage in the Hardy Cup semifinal.
Noah Peltier now 6 of 12, 59 yards in this opening half. So with a minute 33 on the clock for Regina, do you try to press downfield and see if you can, through the air, get yourself in at least field goal range?
Starting this drive from their own 34, Peltier. And play action will swing it to the near side. Olivier Savard able to make the catch at his shoestrings and takes it up for a gain of 7 or 8 yards.
Calgary in zone to the right side of the field, and Regina receivers well covered, and then Peltier comes back to the opposite side of the field to Olivier Savard, able to pick up. They're going to give him 8. So it puts them in second and short, so good situation for Regina.
Savard in the backfield takes the handoff, but he's tackled behind the line of scrimmage. A big play for the Dinos defense. And stepping up to make the stop was Subomi Oyasoro, the linebacker, moving up to make the stop.
Yeah, a great initial penetration by the Dinos. And you mentioned Osorio gets right up on Savard, and in 2nd and 2 in a game like this, play action, roll Peltier out to the other side, maybe another option when you're trying to keep possession, especially late in the half like this, because now you're going to give Calgary another opportunity with the football in potentially decent field position.
So Alda Galvin back on. This is Galvin's 6th punt of the game. He's averaging 49.6. The long was 70, but that was when he had the wind at his back, and the kick is collected inside the Calgary 30-yard line and spun out of bounds is Matt Sibley. And a flag on the field on the Regina side of the 50-yard line. So we'll see what this one's all about as Calgary's offense tries to come out onto the field and do something, although only 36 seconds left.
Illegal block, I think, on the Dinos that'll march them back a little bit. So this may change the mindset somewhat of what the Dinos want to do, as they're going to be inside their own 30-yard line with just 36 seconds to go.
They're backing up a little bit further as the Calgary huddle.
I stand corrected. I thought it was an illegal block. Looks like didn't catch the call from the official. Of course, we mentioned we don't have the microphone in here to hear what it was, but march it back closer to 15 yards. So major penalty of some variety, and that will almost certainly mean the Dinos will probably look to run the football, as you see the injured Ram down on the field.
We haven't been able to catch a number of who that is on the field, even from our vantage point.
But they're signaling to get a couple players over to, that's Chopper Hippie.
Okay.
Thanks to
Hippie, the linebacker for the Rams from Lloydminster, border city of Alberta and Saskatchewan.
And they immediately called for two players to come onto the field to help him off. And so that is not a good sign for Chopper Hippie, who's again part of that outstanding group of 4 linebackers, and he's going to get off on his own steam, so that's a good sign. And just a second-year player. Played with the Edmonton Wildcats as well. 88 solo tackles for the Wildcats in his 2 seasons there. 22.5 tackles so far this year.
And 1 tackle today, too. And he's heading to the sideline. Maybe we'll see him later on today.
Just to confirm, sorry, Andy, just a holding call is just officially the word on that last penalty against the Dinos.
All right, so 1st and 10 from the Calgary 18, and a quick tackle made. Regina defense is right there too, as Desjardins made the catch, but couldn't get very far after.
Yeah, quick hit there from Sananas to Desjardins, and then a good form tackle by Aravinthan, who comes up and makes sure there's no yards after the catch for the Calgary receiver, who's now down on the ground, but then back up.
You know, Desjardins is favoring his left leg, which was kind of the situation for Hippie, who went off the field. And we also saw the Calgary receiver Ben Britton, who couldn't put weight on his left foot either. And this one looks tough as well. And Desjardins coming off a massive game last week against Alberta. 8 catches for 118 yards and a touchdown in the victory for the Dinos over the Golden Bears.
Almost half his production from the season. 23 catches, 249, and 2 touchdowns coming into this one for the native of Gatineau, Quebec. He played at Cégep Vieux-Montréal, and he actually led the RSEQ, the college division in the RSEQ, in receiving back in 2021 with 689 yards. He was an RSEQ All-Star before making his way out west to join the Calgary Dinos.
Yeah, so the Dinos receiving core getting a little thinner as this first half has gone along, trailing by 9 as the clock winds down on the first half. It is 2nd and 6 from their own 22. A stiff tackle by Aravinthan for Regina, but Desjardins having to come off the field, hobbled, and on the run, it's a short gain. It's on the run for Calgary. That's Javier Williams.
Javier Williams, who did see some more significant playing time earlier in the year for the Dinos. 23 carries, 65 yards, so just a 2.8 yard average coming into this game. But a good job by the Dinos here just to kill some clock. They'll have to kick it away here. And again, with the couple near blocks that the Regina Rams have brought to Chris McLean, we'll see if they bring the pressure again. So you get a look at fairly well bundled little football fan. Doesn't seem too bothered by the weather here today.
Well, it's not like many people who are from here. I live in Victoria, where this would be awful. But people around here, this isn't too bad. Yeah. Although considering the late summer that everybody seems to have had in Western Canada, this certainly is quite a shock to the system coming here today.
I mean, I'm from Edmonton, and so it's been an outstanding Alberta fall.
Yeah.
But it's quickly gone to winter, at least in this part of the province.
An outstanding kick from McLean, caught over the shoulder by the Rams' Stedman. He stopped at his own 42, and that is The end of the first half, the Regina Rams with a 9-0 lead on the final play of kick, and so Regina a win away from clinching home field advantage in the Hardy Cup semifinal, in good shape right now with the 9-point lead. But Calgary's offense trying to figure something out to get going in the second half.
Yeah, and I think probably the game we expected. Low scoring, tough to move the football. Defense is playing a big factor. Regina really emphasized the running game early. They've gotten away a little bit. They've gone more to the passing game here, not overly successfully, but a pretty tight game through the first 30 minutes of play.
All right, Heather Morrison, down to you.
All right, I've got Coach Wayne Harris with me now. How's the game going for you?
Well, too many penalties. It's putting us in bad positions, putting our offense deep in our own end. It's hard to score on long drives. We got to get more 2 and outs, so we get our offense on the field a little bit more. We're going to have to play a better second half.
So we just saw 2 players go down there in the last few minutes there, and injuries have really plagued your team this season. Do you have concerns there at all? Is it going to change the way that you play?
Well, we have to keep playing the same way. Injuries, you never want to see them, but they happen, and you got to be prepared for them. That's why we practice lots of guys through the week, and the guy that steps in, he's got to be ready for his opportunity.
All right. Good luck in the second half. Thanks, Coach. Thank you. All right, so the Rams leading the Dinos 9-0 here at McMahon Stadium in a chilly Calgary, Alberta. We'll be back.
To understand the impact Andrew Buckley had on Canada West football, one only needs to open up the conference record book. The former Calgary Dino wrote his name up and down its pages, most notably breaking the CW and U Sports passing and completion percentage records. But it wasn't just individual greatness Buckley achieved. The Calgary, Alberta product is a 3-time Canada West champion. The hometown quarterback was named the best university football player in the nation, not just once, but twice in his career. Buckley was as impressive off the field as he was on it. He repeated as the Canada West Student Athlete and Russ Jackson Award winner in 2013 and 14, becoming the first ever athlete to win the Crichton and Jackson Awards in the same season. Buckley went on to get drafted by the Calgary Stampeders after he was accepted into medical school. Back and feeling fresh off the Canada West bye week, the Calgary Dinos take their provincial rival by storm, tied with the Golden Bears at half until Jordan Chisda flips the script on this Alberta push, running back the interception for a touchdown. The Dinos had another major score in the fourth to capture their first win of the season, 24-11. Over to Vancouver, where reigning Rookie of the Year UBC quarterback Garrett Rooker is having himself a game, leaping over defenders to double the Thunderbirds' lead over the Manitoba Bisons. The T-Birds smother the Bisons until the fourth. Manitoba's A.K. Gassama makes a beautiful catch to put the Bisons in range, but they can't complete the comeback. UBC wins 27-21. Moving to Saskatoon, the conference's top 2 teams go to battle. Stuck 11 with just over a minute left, Noah Pelche runs it in for the Rams. They then recover the kick, only needing a field goal to tie. But the Saskatchewan defense comes up big, grabbing back the football as the Rams give up another close one to the undefeated Huskies.
And we're back at a snowy McMahon Stadium here in Calgary, Alberta, and we're in the presence of Calgary Dino royalty. I've got Rick Coleman here with me. He's from the 1975 Vanier Cup team. Rick, how are you enjoying the game so far?
Well, it'd be nice if we had a few more points on the board, but we're hanging in there, so it'll be good. Hopefully we have a better second half, get something going. Yeah.
Who are you watching the game with today?
Just with a bunch of guys. We had a 75 function last night. A bunch of guys were in town, so we had 17 of us last night down at Palumbo's. We watched the Vanier Cup film again, and we still lost it, but it was a good night.
What was that like watching that film back?
Well, some of the guys hadn't seen the film, so there was a lot of interested bodies, and we were making good. Everybody was cheering when we made good plays, and ribbing one another when we got tackled or whatever, stuff like that.
Let's talk a little bit about what you're in town for, because you were just entered into the Dinos Hall of Fame there for some of your work that you've done on the coaching and with the Dinos fifth quarter. What was the meaning for you to be added to that as an alumni?
Oh, it's a pretty humbling experience. Just 50 years in the program and been good.
Yeah, I can see it's very meaningful for you, which is wonderful. You also started something called the Dinos Fifth Quarter. You're a part of the people that founded us. What can you tell us about Dinos Fifth Quarter?
Well, it was a group of guys, from the 75 team, kind of got together and thought we'd do some fundraising and stuff like that. All started around from an alumni game that we'd planned, and got together and shared a few beers and had some ideas, and it grew into with parent support, and now it's a real community effort. But a lot of the Dinos graduating players are running it now, and they run the Dino Dinner, and it's a great fundraising thing for endowments and to run the football program, because it takes a lot of money to run the program. So yeah,
I admire you, because when I have a few beers and come up with ideas, they're not always as good as creating an alumni dinner.
Yeah, not all our ideas are out on paper, I don't think.
All right, so one of the things I wanted to ask you about as well is because you coached the Dinos. You weren't just a player, you came back and coached. So when you watch games like this, is that on your mind? Are you kind of thinking about things that you might hint at with the players?
Oh, yeah, we were up there watching the game today. Guys are going, oh, gee, why aren't we doing that? Or what are we doing, running a three-man front or whatever? But everybody likes to be a coach, an armchair quarterback or whatever. And when I watch a game, I like to watch the line play, because that's what I coached.
And what about playing in weather like this? Did you ever play in any snowy games?
Yeah, 1975, I froze my hands getting ready for Toronto. So yeah, we're used to this weather here, and we're used to playing on McMahon. We've always had turf.
Well, question just quickly before we end here: is there anyone you'd like to thank? Who's on your mind when you accepted that honor and being in the Hall of Fame?
Oh, just all the guys I played with.
Oh, that's wonderful. Rick, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, we're going to be speaking with Ben Matchett, who is the athletic director for the Dinos. That's coming up after the break.
Your Canada West Special Teams Player of the Week is David Soley. Soley went 3 for 3 in field goals Saturday, posting 9 key points as his Huskies defeated the Rams to stay perfect on the season. Soley's fourth quarter 37-yard score gave his team a much-needed cushion as they went on to win the game by 3. Soley's reliability and skill earns him the honor for the third time this season.
That's how he called it, right?
All right, we're back at McMahon Stadium. The Rams leading the Dinos 9-0. And with me now is Ben Matchett, who's the athletic director for the Calgary Dinos. How's the game going for you, Ben?
Well, bit of an interesting day to get us started, but the staff here at McMahon did an unbelievable job getting the field as good as it could be for today. And yeah, we're, It's a snowy day, and we're lucky that it wasn't snowy earlier in the season. We've had some pretty good weather so far.
When I woke up this morning, it was, how many shirts am I going to wear? I didn't have to think about anybody else but myself. What's on your mind when you see snow like this hit the ground?
Well, the key thing here is it wasn't expected to be this much. We were expecting kind of 1 to 3 centimeters, so we thought we could manage that with guys running around on the field. It'll go away, but like I said, the staff at the stadium were here at 6:30 this morning to start getting things ready, and we're having to move our soccer game here after this one. So, lots of different things we have to think about when you wake up in the morning. You're not sure what's going to happen in the day.
We just talked to Rick Coleman, who was inducted into the Hall of Fame, and one of the things that he did that was so impressive was help found the Dinos' 5th quarter. What kind of impact has that had on your program?
It's really hard to overstate how important that group has been for the Dinos football program over going on, 40, 50 years now. They really set the standard for what an alumni support group in Canadian university sport can be. And there's so many, we get calls all the time from other schools asking, how did you set this up? What was it? And it was really all about the alumni and a group of parents from Rick's group in the 1975 Vanier Cup game, and then our first win in 1983. Those two groups got together and really set the tone for what the 5th quarter has become. And it really is now a partnership between the university and the alumni group in delivering this program.
Well, I think it's important to mention that Rick Coleman was on the coaching staff when they won that Vanier Cup. What is it about the Calgary Dinos that makes people want to have that lifelong relationship with the team and continually give back?
I think it starts with guys like Rick Coleman, like Wayne Harris, our head coach, who's been around for 45 years, from his time as a player all the way now as the head coach. And you can tell how much, just from seeing Rick, how much it means to him still, right? And how he was getting choked up talking about it. And there's a connection that is made, I think, not just for football, and I think not just here. There's a connection that a student athlete has to their university and to their program that it's really hard to duplicate anywhere else.
Now, Rick wasn't the only one inducted into the Hall of Fame. You had some other inductees as well. What can you tell us about them?
It was a pretty great class that we put into our Hall of Fame last week. So a total of 6. Rick, obviously, we had George Kingston, who was our hockey head coach for 16 years, went on and became just a legendary coach in hockey in Canada, first head coach of the San Jose Sharks. So he went in, and then we had a couple of wrestlers in Justine Bouchard and Peter Gutterson. And then we had Lisa Harvey, our Olympian in track and field from 1992 in the 10,000 meters. So it was an outstanding group that we inducted last week.
It really, truly does sound outstanding. And when you sit back and you look at that whole group there, what's going through your mind? Like the fact that you create so many impressive athletes and so many impressive community members.
It really is kind of the core of what it is that we do. We develop leaders, and we develop the next generation of community leaders, and that's what's so exciting about coming back out of the pandemic and everybody being together again, is that we are able to make these connections with the alumni that are giving back to the current student athletes, and know that the athletes coming out that are coming through now are going to come through with those leadership and time management skills and everything else that makes them employable and the next generation of community leaders.
Do you think that helps attract talent here too, as long as you don't tell them how snowy it gets?
Well, I think they know it gets snowy in Calgary, but of course it was 24 degrees 3 days ago. So, but absolutely it does. That level of support is huge from a recruiting perspective, and I know the university then gets more excited and more engaged behind it too. And our president's here on the sideline every game. It's a huge team effort.
All right, thanks for your time, Ben. I really appreciate it. Thanks. All right, that is Ben Matchett, who's the athletic director here at the Calgary Dinos. Let's take a look now at the Canada West scoreboard. So Alberta 23 trailing behind the Manitoba Bisons. They're in the 3rd quarter, and the Saskatchewan Huskies sitting at 0 with UBC at 14. That's in the 1st quarter. This would be the first loss for Saskatchewan this season, so we'll make sure to keep you updated on that game. All right, we're going to have Regina Rams coach Mark McConkey. He's going to be our guest coming up after. Oh, and we're going upstairs. We're not going to break. Hey, guys, you're looking sharp. You're also looking really warm.
Thanks, Godly Heather. Thanks, and we'll look forward to that with Mark McConkey in a little bit. 9-0 Regina Rams leading the Calgary Dinos. Doug, Anthony Bennett, we talked about him at the start of the game last week. By his standards, maybe a little lower than what we had expected with 2 tackles, but we haven't had to say his name very much as well today.
No, and I mean, I think that speaks a little bit to the fact that this is such a strong group of 7 that it's not just going to be one player that impacts what happens within that front group. But Bennett, again, his speed there, forcing that Sananas throw, he just had to get rid of it in that situation. But we've seen the pressure from that front seven. Their linebackers able to come up and support run defense, blitz, get into the face of Sananas, and that helps the likes of Anthony Bennett, who don't have to do all that work themselves.
And for the two quarterbacks today, kind of similar numbers on the day, modest numbers throughout for both Pelche and Sananas, but cooler conditions. They've been under a bit of pressure as well. But let's take a look at how they've done in this first half, starting with Daniel Sananas for the Calgary Dinos.
And Sananas, I mean, for Calgary, they've been content to throw the ball. I mean, they recognize, hey, this is how we're going to win this game, and coming in with some max protection, giving Sananas a little bit more time against that Rams front seven, and that has allowed him at times to step up and find receivers. Or he does this, he gets out and uses his quick feet to open up opportunities for himself as well. And so it's been a decent performance. And again, I liked it when he's gotten out in space with his feet, but throwing the ball has been a little bit of a challenge for both Sananas and for Pelche here in this first half.
And he took quite a pop as well from Josh White in that first half, but was able to get it back to his feet. Mark McConkey is with Heather. Heather.
All right, thanks, guys. So, Coach, when we spoke on the phone before the game, you said the weather might cause you to do a little more ground and pound. Is it playing out the way you thought?
Yeah, a little bit. Like, obviously, it's a little bit windy, a little bit wet, a little snowy, but again, it's playoff football, right? We're trying to get second place. They're trying to get in playoffs, so it's there's always going to be that ground and pound element. But both teams have still been able to throw the ball okay.
What do you want to see from your team in the second half here?
Again, defense has got to keep being dominant. That's what our goal was this week, to dominate the week. And offense, we've been moving the ball, which is good. We just got to be able to now put the full drive together and score more points than field goals.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
All right, back to you guys.
All right, thanks very much, Heather and Mark. There's a look at the stats from the first half of today's game. First downs are close, but you look at the rushing yards in Regina's favor. Passing yards pretty much the same, but if that's rushing yards, 70-27 in Regina's favor.
It really has been in favor of the Rams, and the Dinos right now just struggling to get consistency with their run game. At times we've seen Clark able to get some decent yardage on first down, but he's averaging under 2 yards a carry right now. And in a game like this where you need to rely on the run game, you have to be more productive than they've been on the ground.
And penalties, too. 7 flagged against the Calgary Dinos, just the 1 to the Rams. And we've seen that affect the game as well when you're trying to win the possessions in the territorial battle. The penalties certainly add up, 65 yards against Calgary in those 7 penalties, and they will get the ball to start off as Aldo Galvin for the Rams will kick things off to start this second half. And so the Calgary Dinos will get the first possession, and starting out from their own end zone. And coming up the field is Isaac Athens, the defensive back for the Calgary Dinos, finally taken down at the Calgary 18, and that's where they will set up shop as they try to get on the board for the first time today.
And in a game like this, you just have to continue to maintain focus in terms of what you're trying to achieve. I expect Calgary to go back to the ground and see if they can start to establish some success on the ground, because I just think it's going to be a difficult road to hoe for them to win this game without a little more success than the 27 yards we've seen them put up here so far.
Well, we've touched on how good Regina's rush defense has been this year, and it is a handoff on the first play of the second half. Got about a yard gained on the play.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. When you're team in the country, it's going to be a tough team to run against. Calgary knew that coming in, but that doesn't take away from the fact you can't get away from it. You've got to find a way, I think, to continue. Maybe you got to move players in and out, bounce outside a little bit, and use Sananas and his legs somewhat as well. You got some options, but I think they're going to have to find some answers to free up the passing game for Sananas as well.
Matthew Clark, the freshman from Brantford, Ontario, with the first touch of the second half. Now airing it out deep. He has a man wide open, but too far on the throw. That was Job Dang, who was behind the Regina defense, but the pass just out of, well, not just, but it was too far thrown, and that's a 2-and-out against Calgary. And then now again, Sananas banged up, this time the lower body.
And this errant throw is all a result of pressure, and you can see it coming right up the middle, and there is Anthony Bennett in the face of Sananas, and he just could not follow through on that throw. Otherwise, that might be a touchdown because Deng was wide open. Sananas recognized it, but just could not complete his throw and get that touch on it to get into the hands of his receiver at midfield.
Chris McLean, this is his 7th punt today. And it's Stedman who had to reach out to get it on his knees and gets to the Calgary 50, so not much of a gain. But anyhow, Regina will start with their first possession of the second half on the Calgary side of center.
Yeah, and for Regina, that's positive. Hey, if you're going to, a game like this, you get the ball back, you get it inside Calgary territory, and yeah, it's been a bit of an adventure on the punts for Chris McLean. I'm not saying it's all on him, but it's been a bit of an issue.
Right.
Him, kind of those, you've mentioned it, so those running punts we've seen him do a few times.
So the first play for Regina is Erickson on the carry, but there is a flag thrown in the Regina backfield.
It'll likely be holding against the Rams, and that is the indication. As Erickson looked like he might be able to turn the corner, but Calgary does such a good job scraping along that line to make sure he can't do it. He can just never get his shoulders turned upfield. And again, a good job. That's Nate Boschman, already had 5.5 tackles in the first half.
Holding. Offense, number 64, 10-yard penalty, repeat first down.
Now we have audio. There we go. Now
there we are. Joel Braden, the guilty party on the offensive line for Regina.
But we've worked on our lip reading skills.
Yes,
so, hey,
that's
there's
gotten a lot
always some
better.
benefit that we get out of this. But, yeah, coming back to that play, that's just a great job by Boschman, just to maintain outside leverage. Erickson, like I said, looked like he had the corner, just couldn't get his shoulders turned upfield. And wouldn't have mattered anyway with the holding penalty, but still, good job there by Nate Boschman, second-year Sam linebacker.
Another handoff, and it's Erickson again, not getting much on the first down run.
9th carry of the game for Erickson. 41 yards so far here in this ball game. Of course, came in with no carries.
Yeah. Averaged 5 yards a carry in that first half, so
Yeah.
a nice
Good
first
production.
game and a running back
Absolutely.
for Regina.
And that's a great point, because that's the kind of production you want. You're getting into 2nd and 5, you're going to feel pretty happy offensively.
Al Pelche with 7 pass completions in the first half. This time he's able to hit with Bennett Stuzik. And so for Stuzik, that is his first catch of the game. But it's well short of first down marker, about 12 yards shy. They needed to get to the Calgary 40, and so the Regina punt team comes on.
I mentioned penalties for the Dinos, 7 for 65 in the first half. Just 1 penalty for 15 yards for the Rams, with that holding penalty on the first down play. Certainly cost them here, and will force another Aldo Galvin punt.
Now the kickers have been busy and had their names said probably the most of anybody in today's game. Galvin's 7th punt of the game, and it's a wobbler that's coming to the near sidelines and out of bounds. And somebody made the catch on the sideline as they're celebrating.
And some of the
Let's go downstairs again, and Heather Morrison. Heather.
All right, I've got an injury update here for you, and we got some good news and some bad news. But first, I just want to mention how injuries have really plagued this Calgary Dinos team. If I'm looking around here on the sideline, I see 2 pairs of crutches. I see a broken leg being wheeled around. Somebody else limped by me. There's been a lot of injuries on this team. So the good news is number 14, which is Isaac Athens, took a headshot at the end of the second quarter there. He's okay. He's returning to play. But Ben Britton, that ankle injury is too much, and he's out. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that looked like a lot when he came out of the game. Britain did. Now another long throw to the near sideline, trying to make the one-handed catch, but a flag is thrown. The intended target for the Dinos was Peyton Price. And it looks like a pass interference going against Regina, so that'll move the ball for Calgary.
Sananas here on that corner route. A little bit underthrown, but it's going to result in a pass interference penalty regardless. Sananas, he wanted that right away, but again, just gets held up a little bit.
Now, there were 2 flags thrown.
Pass interference. Regina, number 24. 15-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
Well, the only one called, so 15 yards tacked on. So Calgary moves up to their own 46 and a 1st and 10. And it's a handoff. Trying to go inside, but not much going for the Rams on that attempt, or for the Dinos, should say, as the Rams able to swallow up Clark just beyond the line of scrimmage.
That time the Rams go with 4 down linemen, anticipating run. And again, just able to get off the snap so well, and just don't allow Clark even a look at the second level. And it's forcing Calgary. Here we go again, 2nd and 8. It's forcing Calgary into these 2nd and long situations so consistently that in these kind of weather conditions, it makes your job a lot tougher.
Dante Carbone checks into the game for the Dinos. He's in the slot to the right side. Long throw to the far sideline, and Matt Sibley unable to get a good hand on it. And that'll do it for the Calgary drive. That was a 2nd and 8. And the punt team and Chris McLean comes right back on.
Rams love pressure on 2nd down. That time they send 7. Sinanis recognizes it early, knows he has to get the ball out quickly, tries to get it out to Sibley, but that pass was not complete, but that was a smart play by Sinanis. He threw it high and hard. Either Sibley was going to get it or nobody was. The risk when you're dealing with pressure is that sometimes you underthrow that ball, and what happens, that's when the corner jumps the route, and they're heading the other way for 6. So it no completion there, but a good play by Sinanis.
McLean kicking from his own 35. Stedman has to go back. He takes it from his 18 and is wrapped up quickly on the punt coverage for the Dinos, and so a lot of field ahead of them for the Regina Rams on their next possession.
Very directional punting here right now from the Dinos, as they're recognizing they just want to put the ball into some dead spots on the field and converge. As we take a look at the rushing job so far done by the Rams in this ball game, and it's been primarily Erickson. We've seen a little bit of Olivier Savard. Of course, we mentioned earlier Katende not in the game. He did play last week against the Huskies, and Kyle Borsa out potentially for the season with a leg injury, but they've done a decent job moving the ball on the ground. They'll have to continue it to open up what we just saw there, some completions for Noah Peltier.
And that was Stuzik making the catch for Regina. And a good gain on 1st down, close to the 1st down mark. They need to get to their own 33. And here's what's happening out of town. Manitoba 37-30. Vancouver enter up by 2. And on the handoff, Regina will get the 1st down, as taking the carry was Savard.
Yeah, both Alberta and Manitoba at 2 and 4. Really a win puts you in a pretty good spot for to get one of those playoff spots. UBC at 3 and 3 in tough potentially today against Saskatchewan. Obviously holding pretty well against the Huskies so far.
Gained 30 points in the 1st quarter. We've only got 9 into the 3rd quarter in this one. So a defensive struggle here in Calgary. As Peltier all kinds of time. He lobs it and has his man. Catch is made by Ethan Marshall as he goes out of bounds at the Calgary 43.
That's one of the best throws we've seen from Peltier here today. Had all kinds of time in the pocket. Recognize that crossing route, and you'll get a good look at it here. He's just got all day, able to lob that over top of Oyasoro, into the hands of Marshall, who's coming on that deep crosser, able to pick up some yards afterwards as well. And Marshall's become a favorite target here today for Noah Peltier.
Peltier, so much time. He wasn't even bouncing in the Regina backfield. He had so much time to observe what was going on down the field. Now a handoff and a pickup of 4.
And this combination of Savard and Erickson going back and forth. Savard, that's his 6th carry.
Savard on the pickup for Regina. He's got 24 yards on 6 carries. So it's a 2nd and 7 for Regina, trying to tack on to already a 9-0 lead with 8:10 to go in the 3rd quarter. Savard nearly stopped in the backfield, but was able to get away from the tackle. He was caught from behind, and not quite enough for a 1st down, but he's about a yard shot. Open field tackle for the Dinos, or that could have been a much more.
Yeah, Nate Boschman almost blows his play up. He comes with that blitz off the right edge, and it has Savard in his sights, but Olivier Savard does a great job to evade him, and then Rasmussen from behind able to track him down. Otherwise, Savard might have had another 5-6 yards in his sights. But still a yard to go for the Rams.
So Savard adding to his totals. Gets the ball again, trying to get through the middle of the field and pushing the pile further as he gets inside the 30. And on a 3rd and 1, he's able to more than make what he needs.
Well, Olivier Savard is listed at 5'10", 200 pounds, and he used every possible pound he had there and just drove back the Dino defenders. Takes the hit right there, and Reed, who's had an outstanding season, outstanding game, gets driven back by Olivier Savard, who probably picked up another 4 or 5 yards. Good job by Olivier Savard.
And got some help from the offensive lineman, Matthew Hyowich, who was trying to push the pile to Pelche with a quick throw, and the catch is made by Ethan Marshall, and he's able to get to open field and to the end zone. The first major of the game goes to Regina, who add to their lead at 16-0 and will try to tack on one more.
Calgary in that situation had Marshall corralled, and then he's able to bounce to the outside where you don't have support. And Marshall, just on this quick hitter, right there, Biggs, one of the few mistakes he's made is he gets caught inside and allows the outside space for Marshall. And talking to Wayne Harris earlier in the week, he said the one thing that we did last week against Alberta is we didn't have those 5 alarm bell mistakes that hurt us. And in a tight game like this, you just cannot make those kind of mistakes. You have to try to find a way to limit Regina to a field goal. Mistake there, they give Marshall the outside, and our first major of the day.
Yeah. And a congratulations to Ethan Marshall as well. That's his first Canada West touchdown, and what a play he made to get to the corner of the end zone. And here's another look at it.
Yeah, good blocking there by the receivers downfield. Saint just can't get to the outside, and Biggs, like I said, in that situation, he's got to get outside leverage, make sure that Marshall can't get there. But then good speed by the Rams receiver, who, again, just one catch coming into this game here on the afternoon. 5 catches, 96 yards, and 1 touchdown. So pretty impressive performance for Ethan Marshall.
So Aldo Galvin getting set to kick off from his own 45, and Regina's lead is 16. The extra point not good from Galvin. So the Rams are closing in on a home playoff date for the first time. The ball moved on Galvin when he kicked it, so that's why it's a squibber to the 20-yard line and being brought up the field by the Dinos' Dante Carbone. And he gets it past the 30-yard line, and a tough break for Aldo Galvin on the kickoff. Downstairs we go to Heather Morrison.
All right, that is your first touchdown. What does it mean to you to have it be in such an important game in such an important moment?
It's pretty special. Didn't think I'd be out here much. Borsman went down, so asked me to step up. All the boys did their job. The other 11 guys, great job out there. Just great score.
Still trying to catch your breath here, which I totally understand. What does it mean to you if you get to take that playoff game and you get to guarantee that it's going to be at Mosaic Stadium today?
That means the world. It'll be great to play at home, not having to travel. It's a huge bonus. Playing on our home field, it's gonna be fun.
All right, thanks for your time, Ethan. Good luck in the second half here.
Thank you.
Well, the hairstyle's like Riley Borsma, and he's playing like him as well.
He
said
absolutely.
A big day so far today, and a flag thrown on the snap, and this will go against the Dinos.
Yeah, and Borsman went out early, and then, Marshall has stepped in, and that's what you need. And you heard Wayne Harris at halftime say you see the dive into the end zone.
No infraction in the play. Calgary called timeout prior to the penalty.
Okay, so no penalty called. It was a timeout for Calgary, but again, first Canada West touchdown from Marshall, and he's earned it. And big game today against the Dinos.
And the 6th TD pass of the season for Noah Pelche.
Nice day for Ethan Marshall, closing in on 100 yards, 5 catches for 96.
Yeah, and when players go down, you heard Wayne Harris say it at halftime when Heather asked about the injuries, and he said, hey, we expect the players, coming in from behind to push and to make plays, and it's no different for the Rams. And, when you've got a receiver like Borsma that goes down, Ethan Marshall, first-year player, has stepped in and has had an excellent start to this ball game. As you mentioned, Andy, almost at 100 yards.
So 1st and 10 for the Calgary Dinos. Starting from their 32-yard line, trailing by 16. So still a 2-score game for them. So that extra point looks big right now, but a throw that wobbles in the air, and looking downward is the quarterback, Daniel Sananis. He knows that didn't feel quite right as it came out of his hand.
Yeah, and it's not, certainly the wind, there's virtually no wind here right now, but I think, again, just trying to throw a wet, heavy ball, and the air's a little bit heavier. Like, I think that's what's starting to have an impact here on him able to get that ball downfield. It's not arm strength. We know that from Sananis, and even the highlights we saw earlier against the Golden Bears last weekend, his ability to stretch the field, that's not an issue for him, but having a tough time right now working the ball down the field.
So a 2nd and 10 for the Dinos. 3 receivers to the left and 2 to the right of Sananis. Looking to the far sideline, the catch is made by Desjardins. Be well short of the first down, however. And so a 3rd down for the Dinos, and once again the punt team comes out on the field in Chris McLean.
Jackson Som back in on the coverage there. Quick tackle for him on Desjardins, and yeah, you're asking your receiver to do a fair amount in that situation, but again, you're getting into these 2nd and long situations, and for Calgary, that the lack of the running game and he is really starting to challenge them in terms of what they're able to do with the arm of Daniel Sananis.
This will be the 9th punt of the game for Chris McLean. His longest in the game is 50 yards. It'll be Stedman from his 40. Cut away from one tackle, but then 3 Dinos and a lot of red jerseys around him as they whistle the play dead at the 45-yard line.
Yeah.
So Regina coming off the touchdown, and it's a big one to give them a 2-score lead. And here's a look at the U Sports top 10. Saskatchewan at number 2, Regina at number 8 coming into this game. They are the only Canada West teams that are on that top 10 list.
And a couple other, just to mention a couple scores, if I can bring them up here in a second, just some big top 10 matchups across the country. So we'll get to those here in a second.
And on the run for Regina is Marshall Erickson, who's had a good day doing that as he picks up another 1st down for Regina. Gain of about 13 on that one for Erickson.
Just back to those games. So number 1, Western, defending Vanier Cup champions. They knock off the number 7 ranked Ottawa Gee-Gees 38-18. And then number 4, the Queens Gales, they knock off number 9 Laurier 30-11. So in a couple matchups of top 10 programs across the country.
And who knows, maybe some playoff previews as well. Erickson in the backfield trying to get away from a tackle. Flag has been thrown after the play ended. And in the backfield for the Calgary Dinos was Chimsy Tazy.
And see if we get a holding call. I thought we were going to get a horse collar tackle potentially against the Dinos. But no, it's going to be... And there you see the hold right there. It's on the left. It's John Boss. So that's going to move the Rams back.
Regina. The penalty is declined. 2nd down.
So instead of the 1st and 20, they'll go with the 2nd down and 12.
So situation now for the Rams in 2nd and long as the snow continues to, not overly heavy, but it's been steadily present throughout the day. Let's just say that.
Rams have had 244 total offensive yards in the game. Their rushing yards now at 112. And Pelche dumps it off, and here goes Erickson again, trying to get to the open field. Had blockers in front of him, but just enough of a trip made to bring him down. But on the 2nd and long, he's able to get another set of downs for the Rams.
So you're the Calgary Dinos, you're sending a blitz here, and you're coming off the edge, 2 players out, you think, oh yeah, Boschman, hey, I'm in, and then you're like, oh, something's up here, and you know it's that screen, and the Regina sets it up perfectly. to Erickson, who had blockers downfield, and just that little touch knocks him down, and he's unable to keep his feet. Otherwise, he might still be running.
Well, when it's too good to be true, it often is.
That's exactly right.
1st and 10, Regina from the Calgary 35, airing it deep. He's got the man and the touchdown. Catch is made by Emmett Stedman, and Regina adds to their lead.
Wheel route, pump fake by Noah Pelche. They get the corner to bite, and the Rams have started to pull away from the Dinos here in this second half. There's that pump fake, and they get Chisda to bite on it. Chisda with those 2 picks last week against the Bears, and Stedman with the bow after the connection with Noah Pelche on the pump and go, and the Rams have suddenly blown this open. The Dinos with some work to get back in this ballgame.
Quite a bit. It's been tough going for their offense to get through this Regina defense, and now trailing by 23 as Galvin's extra kick is good. And so Emmett Stedman, who's been busy on the special team side of things for Regina today, gets himself open and is able to connect on a 35-yard touchdown pass from Noah Pelche.
Yeah, and you don't see the complete route there from Stedman, but it's that pump fake. And he for one thing, he holds up the D-line, but also, as we mentioned, gets Chisda to bite a little bit. And a well-thrown ball. And for Noah Pelche, again, at times in the first half struggling, but hey, he's bounced back 13 of 19 right now, 191 yards and 2 touchdowns, and he's looking a lot more settled. And as I said, to me, there's just something at times with the mechanics of him stepping through and finishing his throws that has not been a problem here in the second half.
Just the second catch of the game for Stedman, but he's up to 42 yards in the game. And now the Dinos will try to do something about this deficit that is at 23, and on the kickoff return, Joel Pipke, and he takes it to the 19-yard line. Let's go downstairs in Heather Morrison.
All right, now we're both warming up here. What did your coach say to you at halftime that's unleashed this performance?
He just said, keep doing what we do. You know, we had a little bit of momentum. We just had to put our foot on the gas, really accelerate, take off here.
How much did your relationship with Noah Pelche help you on that play there?
Oh man, me and Noah have been playing ball since I was 15 maybe. He's a great quarterback, so that chemistry has definitely been there. He knew it was coming. It was easy.
All right, good luck with the rest of the half.
Thank you so much.
That's a Miller Comp grad. Saying good things about a Balfour Collegiate grad down in Regina. Both Regina products. Stedman, a second-year man. And here's another look at the connection between he and Pelche.
Yeah, good separation, and just a really well-thrown ball, too, by Pelche. Didn't try to rifle it in there. Got enough air under that allows it, and then I don't know what... Okay, I'm old enough to remember when this was a thing back in the 1980s. I don't know where they're getting that from. They're certainly not children of the 80s, so maybe their parents are passing it out. I'm not sure, but
we're seeing a lot of things from our day getting revived in this day and age.
I did not think the chicken dance would be one of them. But.
Oh, nearly an interception as Cameron Maw was there. Had his hands on it, but there is a flag in the Regina secondary.
Yeah, that one looked like it might be going back the other way for the Rams. As Sananas throws to where a couple Regina players were hanging out, but it looks like it's going to be a penalty against Regina.
Yeah.
As Sananas looks to his right and then comes back to the middle to Zach Smith.
Illegal contact on a receiver, Regina number 30. It's a 10-yard penalty, second down.
Braden Wagg with the penalty that
looked like a Calgary player had been shoved down as the ball was coming out of the hands of Sananas. So it's a 2nd and 1 for Calgary. They'll try on the ground. And they just might have enough and do cross the 35-yard line. So it is a first down for the Dinos.
And hey, for Calgary right now, you're down 23-0. The challenge for them, hey, I've said it a million times already, challenge is using the running game. You probably are in a situation now where you can't, even if you wanted to continue using it, despite the challenges you faced, you're in a tougher spot, trailing by 3 scores, as you're going to need to start to chew up some yards pretty quickly. Sanana 7 of 18 for 72 yards here so far.
Yeah, that was Javier Williams who had the carry for the first down, and there it is, 2-1 margin. And on the ground again come the Dinos.
Tanner Schmeckel, good pursuit from behind as Williams, who's seeing a few more touches here in the second half, gets past that initial wave of Rams pressure, but Schmeckel, again, able to track him down from behind. And an injured Ram player, that is Garth Knidig, fifth-year player from Delisle, Saskatchewan. Won 4 Canadian junior titles with that dominant Saskatchewan Hilltops program. He was the Prairie Football Conference top lineman back in 2018.
Yeah, they're always in the conversation, and also kind of stretching out on the field, too, for the Rams in their defensive secondaries. Jackson Somback as well. He was stretching out the hamstrings or the calf.
And Daniel Sananis appears to be okay. You noticed that he was coming off limping a few possessions ago, but he seems to be okay right now, as Knidig is able to get up and head off the field.
Well, Sananis really kind of took over the starter's role early in the season, got quite a bit of playing time in the second week game, even though Matteo Spallettini started that. But from week 3 on, it's kind of been his job, and he's really been the guy. And you were saying that Wayne Harris said doing the platooning thing just wasn't something he wanted to go with.
Yeah, it just wasn't working, and they were just finding they were getting more consistent production out of Sananis. I think ultimately that's what it came down to. They just felt he was producing more for them, and so they went with him.
Well, they're looking for production here as he's trying to get to the outside, able to get the stiff arm in, and a big first down run from Sananis as he gets into Regina territory inside the 50-yard line.
Well, first it's the stiff arm from Daniel Sananis, and then he refuses to go out of bounds, turns the ball back inside and gains another 6 or 7 yards, and get a great look at the stiff arm right there on Josh White. And then again, doesn't step out of bounds, comes back inside. You might have his coaches saying, hey Daniel, we love the extra 4 or 5 yards, but we'd also like you to be healthy. So maybe just like right here, you can it's okay, you're good. But we know the mentality of football players, that's not typically how they think. Great job there by Sananis just to put his head down and go when he recognized the opening was there.
That is quite a Rams defender, too, to take down with the stiff arm.
Absolutely.
Josh White, he's one of their leading tacklers. Leader in the linebacking core, and Sananis going for a run again, head first, as he gets to the 42-yard line. That brings an end to the third quarter of play. Regina finding pay dirt twice in the third quarter and have added to their lead. It's 23-0. For the Regina Rams, leading the Calgary Dinos on a chicken dance day here at McMahon Stadium in the Canada West Football Showcase.
Let's get started.
Your Canada West Offensive Player of the Week is Garrett Rooker. The UBC quarterback showed off his versatility this weekend, completing on 14 of 20 passes while rushing for 49 yards of his own. He was slippery in the backfield, breaking attempted tackles while finding a way to push his team down the field. Then he showed off his hops, going up over a defender for a touchdown. Rooker also posted a passing touchdown as his Thunderbirds defeated the Bisons in a key matchup Saturday.
At the 5, fakes the throw, vaults it, and he is into the end zone. Garrett Rooker.
Welcome back to the Canada West Football Showcase from McMahon Stadium in Calgary. Andy Neal alongside Doug McLean. 23-0. Regina leads. A couple of touchdowns in that third quarter after a non-major first half. But what did you make of the third quarter and Regina pulling away?
Yeah, I think it's just a couple things. I mean, one, the fact that Regina has continued to run the ball fairly well. That's forcing those linebackers, the Dinos, to step up and come closer to the line maybe than they'd like. And then Peltier, just a much better quarter from Noah Peltier, I thought, in terms of his decision-making, the touch on the ball, and good play calling. I mean, that pump and go, that opened up. Great play there by Regina. And again, starting to see some offensive production from them in a situation where the weather hasn't really been their friend, but because of that balance of run and pass, I think that's the success they've been able to live off of here in this third quarter.
There's Daniel Sinanis. The rushing yards through the first half and likely into the third quarter as well in Regina's favor, but Sinanis on a couple of runs has moved the ball for Calgary into Regina territory. They're trying to get on the board and cut into this 23-point deficit. Calgary's playoff hopes still alive going into today, but in danger here, and the pass on 2nd and 5 goes incomplete through the hands of Job Dang. And so a big decision here for the Dinos, down 23 and needing some points.
Yeah, I think the offense has to stay on the field, but you mentioned the running. Just to look at some of the quick numbers here, Daniel Sinanis averaging 9.6 yards a carry, 5 carries, 48 yards. But beyond that, Matthew Clark, 1.4 yards a carry, Javier Williams, 3 yards a carry. You need more production from your backs. I know it's not all on them. It's the line. It's a whole bunch of things, but you need more production from your running game.
And right on cue, Manitoba has defeated the Alberta Golden Bears, and so that eliminates the Calgary Dinos. UBC up on Saskatchewan 21-16. The pass for Desjardins, and looked like that one may have gone through the hands as well, as he was inside the 10 but couldn't come down with it.
A little bit of a wobbly throw from Sinanis, but looked to be on target. Desjardins on that corner route got some separation. And as you said, Andy, it looked like it might have gone right through his hands. We'll get a look at it here. Yeah, just right through the hands is forward in coverage, and Desjardins just unable to haul that one home. That would have been huge for Calgary, even though, and they may not know this, their playoff lives are snuffed out.
So a tough day in more ways than one for the Dinos so far today, with Manitoba winning, trailing 23-0, and Regina starts their drive with a short run, and here are the stats through 3 quarters of play. And you see the rushing yards, 112 to 65, and also the passing yards, 185 to 72, as we saw Noah Peltier really start to get into the rhythm in that third quarter.
Yeah, well, 112 yards, that's a good sign for the Rams. They average 102 coming in, 185 passing yards. They average 210. So some good offensive numbers for them considering the kind of conditions we're in. So for Regina, I think not just the score, they got to feel good about how they've achieved that score so far.
First down run was a loss of 2, and now Peltier airs it out looking for Stuzek, but defended well as the Calgary defender on the coverage. Deacon Taylor Young was able to get his hand on it and get the incompletion.
We've mentioned Jacob Biggs a couple times, mentioned Taylor Young a couple times. I've been really impressed by the secondary of the Dinos. This pass, thrown a little bit behind. You want to lead Stuzek there, but still, good job there by Taylor Young to be right there in trail position, but close, and able to knock that ball away from the Rams receiver.
So Aldo Galvin comes back onto the field, and this is his 8th punt attempt today, standing
side again. And the last time that they missed the playoffs twice in a row, back in 05 and 06.
Yeah.
So it has been a pretty spectacular stretch of time for the Calgary Dinos.
Which until last year was the last time they had missed the playoffs altogether.
Yeah.
And round for the Calgary Dinos, but it's a young group that they're hoping can grow together and get better with age. And maybe next year, perhaps. And they were hoping to build off that win last week against Alberta, but given the conditions and given the defense that they're up against, this Regina Rams D that has been so strong this season, and Sinanis really hit as he tried throwing for Desjardins. In the coverage for the Regina Rams, number 18, Donovan Small, but Sinanis really took a belt at the end of it, and here's another factor on the offense and offensive woes this season.
Yeah, and hey, I mean, these two players, just such dominant receivers. and it really didn't allow some of the other younger receivers to shine because of the fact that these two were so good, and they've gone on to be good first-year pros as well. But again, it's just been steady production, steady dominance, and they've been producing a lot of professional players. Dean Leonard, a player that came through here, made a huge play in Monday Night Football this past week, so it has been a pretty impressive show for the Calgary Dinos for a lot of years.
And now a partially blocked punt on the attempt from Chris McLean. Able to get his hands on it is the big man, Anthony Bennett, who was able to get through the Calgary line and get a big mitt on that kick attempt from McLean.
Well, hey, Bennett's done everything else. Fumble recoveries, touchdowns, somersaults, everything. Hey, I better get in and do some special teams work. And Anthony Bennett getting some congratulations from his teammates. But, hey, these guys do it all, and especially in Canadian football, you're going to be asked to do a lot of different things. We'll get a look at it here.
Yards.
Just right up the middle. And good second effort.
First down.
As it looked like Bennett might have been held up, but that second effort gets the hand in, and he's a little bit lighter this year, and you can just see how much he hasn't lost a lot of strength, but just the quickness that he's been able to add has made him just such a dominant player.
So Regina starting in Calgary territory at the 43-yard line. A nice move by Erickson as he gets shoved out of bounds, but after a big gain, and now a flag thrown after the play as well.
Yeah, that's not a great penalty taken by the Dinos well after Erickson was out of bounds. There's a good example of what the Rams miss without Kyle Borsa. They love this play with Kyle Borsa, partly because he is so explosive in space. But Erickson, hey, that's a pretty good juke to get himself to the outside and then well out of bounds. And in that situation, that's Sibomi Oyasoro who pushes him well past the... Now, he fell into snow. I guess it's not as bad as it might have been last week, but
15-yard
still
penalty.
not a smart play there by
First down.
Oyasoro, who's been really good this afternoon as well. You've mentioned his name quite a few times.
So the 15 yards tacked on brings the ball to the Calgary 12. And so the Regina Rams, who are up by 3 scores right now, if you make it 4, I mean, it's already tough sledding for Calgary, but if they can make it 4, which even a field goal will do, they are hoping for a lot more than that on this possession after the 15-yard penalty. Erickson again getting to the outside, and he will run right in for the touchdown. And the Rams have got their major, and they will look to make it a 30-0 game, up 29.
Just off that left edge. Which Damon Iron able to seal it. Erickson just bounces it to the outside, and it's all daylight for him. As Reed gets upfield initially, but that one little move by Erickson able to freeze Reed, get himself to the outside, and hey, pretty impressive performance by Marshall Erickson in really his first significant action as a Regina Ram.
Yeah, incredible. Aldo Galvin for the extra point. And so Marshall Erickson, who had 12 carries for 65 yards and then goes in for the score. So averaging 5 yards, more than 5 yards per carry, and has added a major to it.
Yeah, there again, you see Reed, a good penetration upfield, but when you hit the hole with speed like Erickson did there, you're going to be able to shed that initial penetration by Reed, and then again, just that good job with the left side of the offensive line to seal, allow Erickson to get to the outside, and his quickness is going to carry him pretty easily to the end zone. So, hey, this is a positive sign for the Regina Rams in terms of the balance they're finding in their running game as we head into the playoffs, because again, without Borsa and what he can bring, chance he comes back for the playoffs, but not certain. But this mix of Katende, Savard, Erickson, I like that combination a lot.
And after a 23-20 loss to Saskatchewan last week, 11-10 the first time they met the Huskies, Mark McConkey said after last week's loss, we are going to have to go through this place if we want to win the Hardy Cup, this place being Griffith Stadium in Saskatoon. But a nice return on the kickoff and a big hit thrown by Galvin, the kicker, as he laid out Matt Sibley, who had a nice run on the kickoff return. And the guy who kicked it to him ended that run pretty quickly.
I mean, we know Aldo Galvin's a big boy. There's no doubt about that. But wow, he mean, Sibley, who leads this Dino team in all-purpose yards, just gets absolutely flattened by Galvin.
And the smile on his face after the hit may have been as good a part as any. Now, Sibley had stepped out of bounds, but let's go downstairs to Heather.
All right, as I'm grabbing Erickson, they're telling me he's just a baby and found out you're redshirting. This is your one game. How does it feel to score a touchdown? Your one time out here.
It feels great. I mean, I've been waiting for this opportunity to score a touchdown. I've been waiting all season, and my line blocked and opened up a huge hole for me, and I scored. It was great.
So when you think about the fact that many people on your team haven't made it into the postseason before, and now you're most likely you got that home game secured at Mosaic Stadium, how does that feel?
Oh, it feels amazing. I think everyone on this team worked so hard, and we know that we haven't won here for a while. And to win this game, it was clinching second place in a home playoff game, and it meant a lot to us, and we came out and we delivered, I think.
All right, congratulations on your touchdown.
Thank you so much.
And you know, Heather, you just kind of wonder, this performance by Erickson today, what kind of statement that's going to make 2 weeks from now when the Hardy Cup semifinals get underway.
Yep, and again, this balance, I think they have offensively puts them in a good spot. And talking to Josh White, linebacker, earlier in the week, he said, look, we didn't feel we played as well as we can against the Huskies, and have only lost those 2 games by a combined 4 points. He said, we don't feel we played our best football against them, didn't tackle very well as an example. And so I think they feel they've got another level to get to, and maybe we're seeing some signs of it here today against, at least offensively, against what is a pretty decent Calgary defense.
So Calgary with the ball at 2nd and 10. And Regina, by the way, we heard Erickson say we haven't won here in a while. The Rams have 4 wins here at McMahon Stadium. The last time they did
illegal contact.
that,
Regina number 23, 10-yard penalty results in a first down.
So an illegal contact penalty against the Rams, and that was Gorish and Ervinthen. But you have to go back October 4th, 2003. Now the Rams haven't won 3 straight against Calgary since that game, which capped off 3 straight wins out of 4 at McMahon Stadium. But they haven't won 3 straight head-to-head against Calgary, and you have to go back quite a ways for that as well. Their longest was 0-2 to that win in 03. As Sinanis runs forward, gets close to a first down, but they are knocking down a few walls with this performance today.
Yeah, and you might be starting to see, if you look at Canada West as a whole, maybe a little bit of separation. We know where the Huskies are.
Yep.
I think the Rams are pretty clearly the second best team in the, statistically we know that now, but I think they're proving that again today. There's a whole mix in the middle here, but it looks like the Hardy Cup's going through Saskatchewan and probably both cities. They're going to play a huge role in where this thing ends up.
Sinanis area down the sideline looking for Deng, but it's out of his reach. And remember, the Coaches Bowl had Regina last at the start of the season. And I don't know how much weight every team puts into that. Some say not so much. Others, especially when they're ranked last, certainly will take notice of that. And Regina's on their way to a 5-2 record with less than 10 to play here.
Here you see Gorish and Ervinthen. Interception last week. And a solid performance in coverage here today as well against this young group of Dino receivers.
So Calgary going for it on a 3rd and 1. And the handoff goes to the Ben Abrook. And he's unable to get there. Regina's defense comes through with the stop, and their offense will chart out onto the field.
There's Garth Kinetic, who was down injured moments ago, and back making a huge play on Ben Abrook. First time we've called his name tonight.
Tore his shirt in the process.
He did, tore his shirt, yeah, exactly.
Did he ever?
Former Saskatoon Hilltop, who led junior football in rushing back in 2019 with 1,854 yards and 13 touchdowns, but unable to pick up the first down there.
So Noah Pelche in the Rams offense. The handoff is to Savard. He's brought down after a short game, and maybe with this lead at 30-0 in the 4th quarter, maybe a chance for Pelche to settle in and not have any pressure right now and just kind of let it go if he's given the opportunity here with such a big lead.
Well, we'll see how long he stays in the game too. You start to if you're Mark McConkey, you think about Bryden O'Flaherty and putting him into the ball game for a little bit. You're probably going to run the ball most of the rest of the way here, but nonetheless, get your starting quarterback out of the game.
Well, Pelche's going to air it deep, and it is just over the head of Stuzek, who is in a battle. Let's go downstairs to Heather Morrison again.
All right, guys, so in the third quarter there, we saw receiver Matt Sibley. He took a big hit to the lower part of his body, and when he came off the field, he was getting treatment for his glute or his hamstring in his left leg. They got him all wrapped up, but as you just saw there, he took another big hit from Galvin. Looks like they're going to pull him here for the rest of the game. They won't give us too much information about what's going on, but it looks like he's just struggling too much to keep going today.
Okay.
Back to you.
Thanks very much, Heather.
Sibley important as a backup receiver, but also hugely important in the return game. So that will change things here. Looks like it's Zach Smith back returning this kick for the Dinos.
Zach Smith, who's been really coming on as a receiver the last couple of games. 11 of his 12 catches, and now a block for the Calgary special teams. And they will scoop it up at the 31-yard line as Aldo Galvin's punt attempt is blocked, so a big play for Calgary special teams, and they'll try to make something out of this with 8:12 to go in the fourth.
Well, who needs a return game when you just block kicks? Just do that instead. And I think the snap was good. It looked like it might have been Boschman who got in there, if I saw the number correctly there quickly. And Galvin just maybe a little slow, and it is Boschman.
Good eyes on that one, yes.
He's had Boschman's had an outstanding day, and Peyton Price, like you mentioned, Andy, as well in there. And we've a lot of times the Rams have been close, got the one block, and now the Dinos give themselves an opportunity.
Well, this has certainly been a much different second half than what we saw in the first. And on the run, nice gain by Ben Abrook as he collects about 7 yards. And he's limping a little bit.
And that's Abrook, who was expected to, well, I shouldn't say expected, was thought to be the leading candidate to be the starting running back for the Dinos this season, is down on the ground as they've mixed between Clark, Abrook, and Williams.
Just wonder, it looked like his foot may have got twisted a bit on the tackle as he was going down to the turf, and so he's getting looked at.
Native of Saskatoon. Of course, for the Rams, this will be their first playoff trip since 2017. So for them to get back into the playoffs,
that's a big deal. 5 years
and
to not
host.
be there.
I mean, and to do that all. I mean, I think that's a really, good. For Mark McConkey, as you said earlier, his first year as the full-time head coach with this program, and again, they talk about quarterback. They've had a pretty decent quarterback factory themselves over the course of the last many years.
Well, 1-5 last season were the Rams, as we're getting a look at Ben Abrook being helped off the field, and boy, something about left legs and left feet today, as he can't put any weight on his. Abrook can't, so getting some help off the field. But 1-5 last year, they missed the playoffs. But their previous 3 seasons, or the seasons prior to that, 3 consecutive losing, 5-17 from 18 to 21. Remember, 20 wasn't competed because of the pandemic. But a big change for Mark McConkey and his crew, and to get the Rams to what looks to be now a winning season, as they would go to 5-2. Throw to the outside. Good catch by Desjardins. A nice throw as he's taken out of bounds on the far side of the field, but after making a big catch and moving the chains for a Calgary first down.
And you're right, that is a nice throw. That's a tough throw to make. You just don't have it's just not an easy window to drop that ball into, but he does it to Desjardins here. Again, that quick decision making of Daniel Sananas, and good job, good tackle there by Zach Moore to prevent a score.
To the back of the end zone, but too far, as Sananas was looking for Zach Smith.
Zach Smith, who goes and climbs the piles of snow that have accumulated at the back of the end zone.
So 6:47 to go. The passing yards in this game for Calgary at 84 in the game. So it's been a tough sledding for Daniel Sinanis in the Calgary offense. Yes, no pun intended. Sinanis thought about throwing, but he'll run for the end zone. He gets close, and they will mark him just shy of the goal line. Well, the one official on the far side has it just outside the goal line. One on the near side has it at the 1. So I think they'll mark him closer to the 1 yard line.
So a chance now for the Dinos to...
That's where the first down marker was, so I'm wondering if they might get a measurement to see if this is, in fact, a Calgary first down. And if it is, that would give them 3 cracks at it for the end zone. And here comes the chain unit.
Yeah, Sinanis doing a good job with his feet here today. 7 carries, 63 yards. And I'm sure from a coaching staff perspective, and if you're Jabari Arthur, the offensive coordinator for the Dinos, you like the fact you have a quarterback that can use his feet. I'm not sure you're happy with the fact that he's your leading rusher, but nonetheless, because it shows either there's a ton of pressure, he's got to get out of trouble, or it might show a little bit that you're just struggling with your own running game. But you love that versatility of a big quarterback like Sinanis to use his feet, not just to mention the strong arm that he has as well.
Oh, that's a bad spot, Rap. That's a bad
Okay.
spot.
Well, somebody from the Calgary side doesn't agree with the spot. But it is a third down. Now, Calgary can still get a first down without going into the end zone. So 3rd and inches for the Dinos, trying to get into the end zone and get on the scoreboard for the first time today. And the run is going to get them there. It is a touchdown for the Dinos as they're in with Joe Dang. First-year man from Vancouver is in the end zone.
A little almost end around here as Dang, as all the focus is on Clark. But Dang takes the handoff from Sinanis and just quickly turns it upfield. Falling right behind so lineman Townsend. Daniel Townsend, the right tackle. And into the end zone to break the goose egg. Still a bit of a climb to go for the Dinos to try to get themselves back in striking distance of the Rams here in this 4th quarter.
A couple flags are thrown on the extra point attempt from McLean. Now again, McLean, he had to come into the kicking role last week against Alberta. It's Vince Trumberry, who was 8 for 11 this season. But McLean had to step in, was 1 for 2 last week against the Golden Bears.
2 many men. Regina, 10-yard penalty be applied on the kickoff.
So the extra point is good. It is 30-7 for the Rams.
Plus Chris McLean, a former University of Toronto varsity Blue, as we look at that Dang touchdown again. Good play calling here by Jabari Arthur, just to again mix things up a little bit. On 3rd and short, they're going to be focusing on both Sinanis and Clark, but Dang on the end around, able to waltz in for the, well, I shouldn't say waltz, he took a pretty good shot. It's easy for me to say sitting up here in the booth.
All right, let's go downstairs to Heather Morrison. Heather.
All right, must feel so good after just pounding out in the cold for so long to put some points up on the board. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I got my first touchdown in my youth sports career, so I'm forever blessed for that. We're a young team. We're going to bounce back and onwards and upwards.
Yeah, when you're talking about onwards and upwards, the fact that you're a young team, we've seen growth throughout the season. What do you think? You had a win last game. You're playing well this game. What does that mean for future seasons with the Dinos?
It just means we're going to keep working, keep putting our head down, and keep executing.
All right, thanks for your time, Gob.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, that was kind of one of the themes coming into today, was just the youth of the Calgary offense this season and throughout the season, and some of the growing pains but learning experiences throughout. And Dang has certainly been one of the bright lights for the Dinos this season. Coming into today, their leading receiver, and he's got his touchdown.
Yeah, good quick receiver, listed at 6'2", so good length as well. Yeah, and it's a big adjustment, and Coach Harris talked about that too. Just adjusting to the speed and the size of the players you're dealing with. It's just different than when you're playing, playing in high school, and Dang, among others, have started to adapt to that.
Onside kick attempt, or a short kick at least, to the sideline, but it is corralled by the Rams, and so they will take possession of the football, and with a 30-7 lead, less than 6 minutes to go. And we kind of did wonder as well, you were talking about Noah Pelche, but would Bryden O'Flaherty perhaps see some action today? And here's a look at some of the touchdowns for the Regina Rams. This one, a great move made by Ethan Marshall to find his first Canada West touchdown, and then this play here down the sideline, what a catch by Stedman, Marshall Stedman, and then a rushing touchdown. That one courtesy of Marshall Erickson. So the Rams blew it open in the third quarter and early in the fourth, and with a 23-point lead. Nice gain on first down as they get to the 44-yard line. Got a couple yards shy.
Well, when the story of this game is written, I think the fact that Regina was able to get themselves in second and short more often than not, and more often than Calgary was, I think that played a huge part in where this game has gone. Calgary was just so often forced to throw on second down, and with that Regina pressure, it just completely changed what you do. But Regina's done a nice job themselves getting to situations like this, second and short.
So 7 yards to Erickson. He'll try for a first here, but he gets caught from behind, and he won't get there. About a yard short of what was needed for the first down, but the clock continues to run. And off the field goes the offense, and here comes Aldo Galvin again. He's had a busy day, a lot of kicks, a couple field goals, a big hit thrown on a punt as well.
Yeah, and of course his last punt blocked.
Yeah.
So I was curious to see the decision if on 3rd and 1, if they would just leave the offense on the field, try to kill a little bit more clock, but no, they're confident going back to Galvin that they can clean up whatever caused the block from Beauchemin on the last Galvin punt.
So Regina next week, as the play clock is running down for Regina, they'll want to let that one go as far as they can, but next week it's against Manitoba to finish up. And then who knows who they will get in the semifinal at Mosaic Stadium, as Galvin kicks away a good kick as he forces the returner back inside the 10. Stepping out, Zach Smith, and he is hit. Ball comes loose. The flag has been thrown. The Rams were looking for the loose ball.
Not sure what the flag might be, unless it's a face mask or something, or when the Rams players are saying it's against the Dinos, maybe for a hold.
Wait and see for the call. Galvin still says no, it's a Dino penalty.
Yeah. But the flag came pretty late, and so oftentimes that's a face mask type situation, or again, it might have been a hold right around where the returner Smith was. But you mentioned in terms of what's going to happen down the road here now, with Manitoba knocking off Alberta today, they move to 3-4. Alberta now 2-5. UBC is ahead of Saskatchewan 22-19 at the half. As you take a look at the ball coming out, Alberta will host UBC next week. So if Saskatchewan comes back and knocks off UBC will be at 3-4. That game would then be for the final playoff spot.
Yeah.
Manitoba is in pretty good spot, in pretty good shape here right now.
So Ryder Garva looks in conversation with the head official, and he's looking a little confused on the explanation he was given. Still waiting on what the flag is, and here it is.
Unnecessary roughness. Regina number 56. It's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
The way Varga pointed at himself, it was like he was in bewilderment that it was against him, but it is a penalty against Ryder Varga, so it is Calgary ball as well. So let's see what happened. Oh, the hit
on Saintis, but
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, again, that's special teams. It's a roller coaster, it's bumper cars, it's everything. I don't know how that is deemed unnecessary roughness.
Well, Calgary will take it. They've got the ball at the 34. The catch is made on the far side by Gogdang again. So that's his third catch of the day. And a second down coming for Calgary, trailing by 23. They were able to hit Paydirt on a play by Dang to get into the end zone on deep in Regina territory. 3 minutes to go in the fourth. And Sinanis fires it down the sideline, looking for Dang again, but it's out of his reach. And so a third down coming, 3rd and 5.
Definitely a tougher day for Daniel Sinanis. Last week against Alberta, 21 of 33, 317 yards, 2 TDs, 2 picks. So far today, 8 of 26, and just 84 yards through the air. So it has been a struggle offensively for the Calgary Dinos, and we mentioned the fact that this
Calgary
Regina Rams defense gives up the most passing yards per game of any team in Canada, but they've done a good job here today making sure that Sinanis got no momentum at all through the air.
All right, so week 8 of the Canada West season, we'll see these 3 games, Calgary Dinos and the Saskatchewan Huskies. That's Saturday, October 29th. That starts at 1 p.m. And also a 1 p.m. start, October 29th, of the Alberta Golden Bears UBC game, and the Regina Rams will finish up at home. That starts at 2 o'clock against the Manitoba Bisons, a team that they saw in week 1 and defeated 33-23. Saskatchewan trying to go to 7-0 today against UBC, but with Manitoba's win, they go to 3-4. And yeah, as you mentioned, UBC is 3-3 right now, so they're trying to stay ahead of Manitoba now. Yep. That's a big game, it looks like, now against Saskatchewan with that result between the Bisons and the Golden Bears.
Yeah, and it'll be an interesting end of the season. Golden Bears now having lost 4 straight games. Of course, Eli Hetlinger out for the better part of that stretch.
So 3rd down and 5 for the Dinos. Sinanis trying to get the short throw to the intended target, Zach Smith, but it falls to the turf. And boy, Sinanis has had a tough game. His runs to the sideline have looked painful here in the second half, and labored.
And Anthony Bennett, guess who again in the face of Daniel Sinanis. There's Maw off the edge initially, and Bennett another one in the midst. And that pressure that the Rams love to bring on second and in a situation that 3rd down, it just makes it so tough for the quarterback because you just do not have enough time to find where you want to go with the football. And the ability with that 3-4 and those quick linebackers to blitz like that makes Regina's defense so difficult to deal with.
Olivier Savard on the carry on 1st down after the turnover on downs. And he gets 1. So the Regina Rams up 30-7. They're going to run down the clock and give themselves their first winning season since 2016. And put that in the books at 5-2.
Yeah, and you mentioned the fact they were 6th in the coaches poll, and a lot of uncertainty around where this team was going to be, especially with the injury to Donnelly. But here we are, a team that is going to go to 5-2, host a playoff game, and they're going to give the Huskies. I mean, if it is those 2 teams, and hey, we're putting the cart well before the horse here right now, but if it is those 2 teams, the Rams and the Huskies, at Griffiths in November, that'll be a heck of a showdown, I think, between what I think are clearly now the 2 best teams in Canada West. But the question is, can one of Manitoba, UBC, or maybe Alberta, if they can squeak in, can they cause some chaos in that opening round? We'll see. But I think right now it's a pretty clear division between the Huskies, the Rams, and everybody else.
Well, play clock running down, and so Regina will let it go to 0 before calling the timeout. And so here are the updated standings for the Canada West. Right now, Saskatchewan 6-0, UBC 3-3. They're still going right now. It's still somewhat early in Vancouver, but Regina at 5-2. This would lock up home field advantage in the Hardy Cup semifinal. And so Manitoba going to 3-4 with their win today over the Alberta Golden Bears, and that officially eliminates the Calgary Dinos from any playoff contention. Although, as you know, the way this score is, it wouldn't have mattered anyhow, that game. Yep. They had to win their games, the last two, and talk about a tough way to end Regina today and then at Saskatchewan tomorrow. So it would have been a big mountain to climb for Calgary, but they will be out of the playoffs for the second straight year. And so now Alberta is going to need some help if they're going to get into the playoffs with their loss today to Manitoba. Here goes Savard on 3rd and 2, and does he have enough? He got to the 30, needed to get a little bit beyond it. But where the ball is spotted, I think Calgary might have the stop.
Looks like he might be a little bit short. For Olivier Savard.
And it is a first down for the Dinos. So their defense comes up with the stop. And so for Calgary, is it, I guess, now building towards the future? You know now where their future is for this season. But looking ahead now to 2023.
Yeah, and I think when the season got off to the start that it did with the first 3 losses, I think you started to look ahead and say, it's pretty tough in Canada West to go 0-3 and get yourself back in the playoff hunt, even though 4 of 6 make it. But so not to say that they were writing the season off, I don't mean that. I just think you start to think about the future, and with all the injuries they dealt with. Yeah. But I think you're right. Once they get healthy, again, it's especially on offense, and you know I've harped on this all day here today, but it's a group that's going to grow together, and that can be a really positive thing, that they're going to learn together, they're going to get better, and it's a lot of first-year players that are going to become second-year players together, and that's, from an offensive perspective and continuity's sake, I think that's key. They're going to have to figure out the running game. I think they feel they've got some talent back there in Clark and Abraham and Williams, but they've got to sort out their running game because it has not been, not just today, it has not been good enough all year. And when you've got a young quarterback, you need to protect him a little bit. They haven't been able to do it. And so I think that's something they're going to have to figure out in terms of how they want to proceed with the running game. But hey, there are definitely some good pieces here. And for a program with such rich tradition the last 30 years, there's no reason to doubt they're going to get themselves back in a spot where they can be dominant again.
Savannah missed Desjardins on first down. Now they'll go for a run, trying to get to the 40-yard line, but he gets tackled from behind. Nice play made on the defensive efforts, and so that'll bring up a second down for the Calgary Dinos. Sananas tried to get and use his legs to get to the first down, but on the play was Regina defender number 54. And that's Evan Ide.
Evan Ide, defensive end, chases him down. And you can certainly see Regina. They're not taking the foot off the gas here at all as this game winds down in terms of the way that they're going to play defensively.
90 seconds to go in this second half. And Sananas on 3rd down over the middle. But unable to make the catch is Zach Smith, and a late flag is thrown in the Regina secondary. It did look like he had a bit of a tug to deal with as he was trying to get to that pass.
Well, you and I both saw that from up here, and yet there was no flag. I'm pretty sure my eyes aren't deceiving me that there was a pretty healthy grab by Ma right there.
So that
forward pass interference, defense number 3. It's a 15-yard penalty. First down.
Cameron Ma, backup middle linebacker from Vancouver. Played at Notre Dame secondary. Another one of the mix of players that you see throughout Canada West that played on Team Canada in the International Bowl back in 2019.
Yeah, that's starting to build a rich tradition. Nearly a missed handoff, but Sananas holds on to it, gets close to midfield, and is still able to pick up 4 yards as what looked like what could have been a disaster behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, Sananas and Clark having a bit of a conversation over that here right now. And Sananas grabbing at his elbow now too. We've talked about his legs a few times, but yeah, that delayed draw, and just not sure if that was meant, if Clark almost played that as though it was meant to be a fake delay draw.
Right. Now a dump off to Clark. And he gets a good gain on the pitch from Sananas inside the Regina 35 to the 34. Less than a minute to go. Yeah, I hope there's an ice bath waiting for Daniel Sananis after this. It just seems like he has taken some big hits and has had some labor just to get to his feet and get off to the sideline, but he's hanging in there.
Well, he made us go hop in those piles of snow down at the south end of the stadium and hang out there for a while.
Sananis throwing to the near sideline, a long throw, but it's on the money. And that's Matson Tulloch making the catch for the Calgary Dinos.
First catch of the day for Matson Tulloch, who came into this game with 8 catches for 72 yards. Of course, the injury to Ben Britton earlier, Matt Sibley as well.
So it'll be a 2nd down and 1 for the Dinos at the 25. Coming roaring into your living room on the tackle is Ethan Mather for the Rams. So a 2nd and 1 for Calgary, as they've already hit the end zone once in this 4th quarter. Trying to do it again as the time winds down. The catch is made, and so too is the first down, as it's Meng on the reception.
Yeah, Sananis wanted to go to his left. He wanted to go a little deeper down the field, of course, with time ticking away, but good coverage to his left by the Regina Rams, and he came back underneath for the quick hit just to keep the ball moving.
Bob Dang with his 2nd catch today. Sananis able to get away from the rush. He's past the line of scrimmage and will run for about 5 to the sideline.
And Daniel Sananis getting ever closer to a 100-yard rushing game.
Yeah, he's really got his legs going in this 2nd half.
Nice spin away from trouble. And then takes another shot as he heads out of bounds.
It was Mather who made the hit at the end of that play. So Sananis and the Dinos, a 2nd and 5 from the Regina 15. Sananis looking at the end zone and just over the head of Job Dang. Bodies all over the field in the backfield as Ding comes back to the Calgary scrimmage.
Single coverage to the field side. They put 3 receivers wide right, and they use the wheel route with Dang, but just unable to get a whole lot of separation, and Sananis just had to put that one up, hoping that Dang could get to it. But again, a good decision by Sananis. Put it up in a spot, either he's getting it or no one is. And I like that about Sananis. It's always about, you might lose this battle, but don't give everything away, and Sananis makes good decisions in that sense.
3rd and 5 for Desjardins and a touchdown pass. Although there is a flag in the Calgary backfield, but Desjardins with the catch. And this one might be coming back, as Sananis seems frustrated looking at the officials as they pick up the flag, but Desjardins got behind the defender, but it looks like it will be all for naught.
Holding. Calgary, number 68. 10-yard penalty. Repeat, 3rd down.
Goes on right guard John Boss. 3rd-year player out of Calgary, and Lester Pearson. Boss actually playing left guard, I should say, and there's that. Just gets that left arm wrapped around 52 Jackson Runge.
So at 3rd and 15, Calgary's, why not? 10 seconds left. Down by 23, let's try some stuff. But Sananis is going to get buried at the 24, and there's Anthony Bennett coming out of that pile. He was involved again, imagine that, for the Calgary defensive lineman.
Yeah, and it's, again, for Sananis has taken another huge hit.
And that would be a record breaker for Bennett, because he came in with 6 solo sacks. And if he gets a full one here, although it might be a forced fumble, but he was tied with 4 other players of the Regina Rams sack record at 6. One of those, Akeem Hicks, who's playing in the NFL right now. Nick Daly, another one. And that is the ball game, as the Regina Rams will have their first winning season since 2016. They go to 5-2, defeating the Calgary Dinos for the 2nd time this season, 30-7, the final today.
Yeah, pretty complete effort by the Rams. You know their defense is going to bring it, but I think they're going to walk away from this game feeling really, really happy about how their offense performed. I thought in the first half, a heavy emphasis on the run and a much more confident passing attack in the second half. And I think complemented then still by the running game. So for Regina, I think this is a really positive building block heading down the stretch and into the playoffs, because I think they're seeing good balance in terms of what they're able to do on the offensive side of the football.
Well, if there was any concern about the run game, perhaps they might have found something in Marshall Erickson, who had a big game on the ground today, 14 carries, 74 yards. That's an average of 5.3 per carry. I mean, that is a very respectable and actually pretty good yards per carry mark to hit. If you can get to 5, as you mentioned earlier, you're looking at half the yards you need. So a big win for Regina. As they get by Calgary, they have clinched home field advantage in the Hardy semifinal. Back with more on the Canada West Football Showcase. Well, 30-7 is the final here at McMahon Stadium in Calgary for the visiting Regina Rams. They take both games, and for the first time in a while, their first 3-game win streak against the Dinos. And let's go downstairs where Heather Morrison is standing by.
Well, I've got player of the game, number 82, Ethan Marshall, with me. So the Rams haven't been in the playoffs since 2017. Today, you secured that home playoff spot. Take us inside this moment. How does it feel?
It feels amazing. All 12 guys on both sides of the ball did their job, established the run game, passed the ball really well too, and the defense did their thing. So, yeah, super excited to be at home for this playoff game.
So what does that mean for you as a team? I do agree it was a team effort today. What brings you together as players to play so well together?
I just think it comes from the coaching, and it comes down to our player leaders and then everyone, scout players. Everybody has a job on the team and everybody executes, and we realize that it is a team effort, and if we want to be successful, everyone on the team has to do their job.
Still a few games away if you want to get into that Hardy Cup. The word that we were using to describe your team earlier was hungry. Is that hunger still there?
Yes, 100%, and we're taking each game one at a time. We're going to make sure we're ready for each game and give it our best shot.
All right, good luck with the rest of the season, Ethan. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's go back to the booth. Back up to you, Andy.
All right, thanks very much, Ethan Marshall. A big game today, as you saw, and one of the number of players who really stepped up for Regina, particularly in the second half, Doug. But what do you take from this? Regina's 5-2. Calgary at 1-6. They will try to end on a high note, although they're at Saskatchewan. But what do you make of today's performance in Regina moving forward?
Well, like I said a moment ago, a couple things that stand out for me. I think the depth of running back, we've seen that, and some different styles of running back, whether it's Erickson, whether it's Katende. I mean, hey, if they get Borsa back, that's a whole other story. You've got Olivier Savard, so there's some good mix in the running game. And I liked how Noah Peltier played in the second half. I was at halftime a little critical of just, again, that just seemed for him his ability to get through throws, to get to complete throws and power through them. But I thought in the second half he was much more decisive, good play calling, and he just threw the ball much more effectively. He ends up 14 of 22, 208 yards, 2 touchdowns. So from an offensive perspective, I think that for Regina, I think heading down the stretch here, I think they have to feel really happy and doing it in elements that weren't exactly ideal. And you're going to face this again, quite likely, whether you're at Mosaic or whether you're at Griffith Stadium. So positive signs all around.
And no interceptions after 3 last week for Noah Peltier against the Saskatchewan Huskies. And so, a lot to build from for Regina as they work towards the playoffs and a home playoff game for the first time in 6 years. Back to wrap on the other side. Regina, a winner over Calgary here on the Canada West Football Showcase.
Let's get started.
to the day here in Calgary where the snow fell after what was such an extended summer, but the Regina Rams, playing for home field advantage in the Hardy Cup semifinal, come through with a 30-7 win over the Calgary Dinos, who will miss the playoffs for the second consecutive year. Well, the Dinos and Rams are through after their second meeting, and so the Rams will finish up next week against Manitoba. Calgary heads to Saskatchewan. For Heather Morrison, Doug McLean, Dave Roberts, who I know his mom wants us to say hello to. I'm Andy Neal. Thanks kindly for watching. From all of us here, thanks again.